contract. Well, the union is striking a handful of factories throughout the U.S. with plans to strike more if a deal isn't reached soon.
Noon on Friday, September 22nd, is a new deadline.
UAW President Shawn Fain, who is from Kokomo, and it's there that Stellantis says that they will temporarily be laying off 300 workers because of the strike. An arrest made in Indianapolis as sheriff's deputies are still looking for an inmate who was accidentally released from the county jail last week. Sheriff Kerry Forrestall says that they arrested Desiree Oliver, who is said to have helped Kevin Mason after he was let out.
We arrested her today at 2 o'clock. She's employed as a healthcare worker in Carmel in the nursing profession.
A clerical error is why Mason was released. He had been in jail charged with murder. A person shot on the east side this morning. It was near Washington Street and Southeastern Avenue. That person is in bad shape at the hospital, police say. 2 people were stabbed in Richmond early Wednesday morning, and 1 person was arrested. John Herrick reports.
The Richmond Police Department says they were called to North Street at around 2 o'clock and found Tyshawn Cochran and Melissa Darling. Both of them were taken to hospitals with stab wounds. They believe a man named Steven Centers was the one who stabbed them. He was arrested, and he's charged with battery with a deadly weapon, which is a level 5 felony. John Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
State Senator Jack Sandlin has died. He had a heart attack at his home on the south side of Indy Wednesday. He was 72. IPS is growing out of the COVID pandemic, says Superintendent Dr. Alicia Johnson in her State of the District speech.
Much of the country is still experiencing major academic setbacks. We at IPS are already making up ground.
She says the learning losses from COVID have almost been entirely made up in math and reading amongst IPS students. She also says teachers are staying, with 88% of teachers staying with the district compared to last year. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Bear.
All right, Kurt, we are deep into the scanner here. This is a bad crash, okay? It's Pendleton Pike, south of Sunnyside Road, multiple injuries, and at least one person is trapped inside of a vehicle. And right now, Pendleton Pike stopped in both the directions between 56th Street and Sunnyside Road. You want no part of this right now. Do stay clear. Northbound 465 Lawrence, slow after 70 up to Penn Pike. Traffic sponsored by the Suburban Indy Home and Outdoor Living Show, September 22nd through the 24th at Grand Park. Hundreds of experts and thousands of ideas, plus marketplace shopping and kids entertainment. Get $5 tickets at suburbanindyshows.com. I'm Matt Bear on the 5s at WIBC Traffic.
Hi, I'm Joe Wrights, former Colts offensive lineman.
And I'm Jill Wrights. Traumatic brain injury is so sad and so life-changing.
That's why we support a groundbreaking organization building a better future for adults living with a TBI.
Villa was founded right here in Indiana, but what we are doing will affect families around the country. Families struggling to support and lift up their loved one after a life-changing head injury.
Go to braininjury.me. That's braininjury.me.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Partly to mostly cloudy skies, a few sprinkles west of Indianapolis today, a high of 83. Tonight, partly cloudy, quiet and mild, a low of 62. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
65 and mostly cloudy on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour is powered by Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your American Standard air dealer serving Central Indiana.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, September 22nd. It's 6 minutes after 9. This is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. That guy is Rob Kendall. You can find him on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels. You can find me there too, Casey Daniels 317. We're both on YouTube right now. If you type in Kendall and Casey into the YouTube search bar, and unlike the Tony Katz Show, yeah, we're on Spotify. We put all of the carefully curated music that Kevin puts together in our bumper music. If you're on Spotify, just type in Kendall and Casey or the date Kendall and Casey, and you'll get every single day's playlist. Coming up later this hour, we're going to speak with John Rust, who is running for U.S. Senate against Jim Banks. We're also going to hear from Ted Cruz, and he believes that Joe Biden's not going to be the 24 Democrat nominee, and we'll hear why he says that. But we start off the hour talking about Donald Trump. He made the first of one of his 5 planned visits to Iowa, which he has through the end of October. The visits aimed at converting what polls show, well, he already already has a commanding lead, and he wants to make that even bigger.
Okay, before we get to this, the Rust interview, people absolutely need to hang around for this, because what the Republicans and you will not find a bigger group of greaseballs than the people who run the Democrat and Republican parties in the state of Indiana. I mean, the ballot access laws in this state, and they are done deliberately to keep people that the party cannot control off the ballot, are gross and disgusting. And this Rust lawsuit is very important. You know about it, become aware of it. And whether you are a conservative, liberal, whatever, everyone should be supporting John Rust, because what happens in this state is that the Republicans and Democrats confiscate your tax money to facilitate their little Dungeons and Dragons club at the election box every year, and you pay for it. And then they rig the system. So while they take everyone's money, they then rig the system so that only a very select group of people who are willing to play and abide by their rules can run for office under their banners. So this system is totally corrupt. It's totally awful. And John Rust has the potential to be a very important person because he actually has the money to see it through. So I didn't mean to derail the segment here on Trump, but everybody really needs to stick around for that at 9:30. Okay, Trump. Casey, have you ever met someone on a personal level who you really admired, like a celebrity of some sort? Have you ever had the opportunity to have a personal interaction with someone who you were like had a super high level of admiration with?
Sure, absolutely. Muhammad Ali.
And you hung out with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was trash talking my husband. And what's he going to do? Come back at Muhammad Ali? No.
Okay. So this may not, because you actually had a pleasurable experience. If you have ever had the chance to have an interaction with someone who you deem a celebrity, or like you see on television and you're like, oh my gosh, that person would be so cool to hang out with. Very rarely, and Casey has just derailed the entire segment because Casey actually had a positive experience with someone she admired. Very rarely at the end of it, you go, oh my gosh, that person exceeded all expectations and that was freaking amazing. And that's kind of where it is with Trump now, where it's like, you've just seen it, right? Like, it just seems to be the same song and dance every single time. And there's very little new that you garner out of an interaction with Trump. Obviously, we're doing it via social media and we're seeing it on the internet. And we're seeing it on the television. But it's like, it just doesn't meet the expectation that I have anymore. Do you get what I'm going at here? It's just like
you want more.
I just see it, and it's like
same old song and dance.
I've played this routine out, and I'm not wowed by it anymore. I'm not impressed by it. I don't leave the interaction going, wow, that was so cool. I can't wait to do it again.
You're not motivated.
Yeah.
You're not excited.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Donald Trump said that in less than 4 months from now, we're going to win in Iowa, the caucus, in a historic landslide. He says he wants everybody to support him and to bring friends along.
Okay, so he was having a big event in Iowa. He was taking questions, it appeared.
Yep. He said this is something Joe Biden wouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's one of the first of many clips of Trump in Iowa.
There are those who say this is the greatest political movement of all time. I think it is MAGA. You know, when Biden criticizes MAGA, I say, no, it means make America great again. What's to criticize? You know, how do you criticize MAGA? They go, oh, those MAGA people, those MAGA people. Anybody that says that doesn't love our country. It's called Make America Great Again. But this is the greatest movement of all time. You know? Yeah.
Ronald Reagan is in his grave going, I think the Reagan Revolution might have just had 49 frickin' states, Casey, in 1984. Might have been just slightly better than Trump sneaking it out by 20,000 votes in 2016.
So Donald Trump is claiming that the MAGA movement is the greatest movement of all time. Okay, how about American colonization? That was a pretty big one. How about the suffrage movement? Also a big one.
How about the Christian movement, Casey? Celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ.
How about the abolition movement? How about civil rights movement? And for that matter, to your point, what about the Protestant Reformation? Also a big movement. Boston Tea Party. Fall of the Berlin Wall. Also a big movement. A big movement in Tiananmen Square.
There are many, many people who love Donald Trump and still wholeheartedly support him. And that's fine and great. And if Trump is the nominee, we'll absolutely vote for him. And I'm still almost quasi-inclined to vote for him in the Republican primary, just because, as you know, Casey, I seek and thrive on chaos. And I think that would be best for our show. And all these people are going to let me down anyway. But, it is not anywhere near what Reagan had, a unified country behind the vision he was selling. Trump, some of it his own fault, some of it not his own fault, is existing in a deeply divided country where he did not unify the United States of America behind his vision of America from 2016 to 2020. He simply didn't do it. Not saying he could have. America may actually be too divided to ever come back together again. We may be, heading towards some sort of long-term separation. Who knows? I mean, the country is clearly very, very, very divided. There is no way you're going to square California and Florida right now. It's not going to happen. However, Ronald Reagan did manage to do that. 49 states, Casey. Mm-hmm. The only state Walter Mondale won was his own in 1984. That far eclipses anything that is remotely going on with Donald Trump, past, present, and or future.
Well, he went on to say that he's never seen the spirit that he is seeing in the 24 campaign.
So we've run twice. I've never seen the spirit that we have this time. And a lot of that spirit because you're longing for the good old days with the greatest economy ever and all those things. But
he does have a point. I mean, I've had enough of the Biden administration destroying the country.
He's right, but I had a conversation with I don't know what you'd call this person. I was going to say a financial professional, but they're not like an investment. They're not like a Bill Demery. They're a person who handles finances for a company. How about that? So this is a very educated person, a very person whose family has been successful in business, etc. And this is a just hardcore conservative person. And we were talking about just this yesterday, about people being sick and fed up with what's going on in the country. And we both, unprompted of each other, came to the exact same point off of that. Now, this person listens to our show, so clearly they know where I am on the thing, which is Trump's refusal to take the victory when handed to him. And by take the victory, I mean just shut the hell up and only talk about how you're going to fix the economy and inflation and the border and gas prices. Mm-hmm. The win is right there. Tap it in the hole, Happy. Mm-hmm. It's just a little taparoo, and Trump does everything but actually take the win that's handed to him.
Okay, well, there have been a lot of spirited campaign over the years. I mean, the Hamilton, that was spirited.
Shot a guy. Aaron Burr was actually shot.
It was decided by the House of Representatives. Ruther B. Hayes, there was a commission, a 15-member Congress commission decided that he would be president. And don't forget, more recently, Bush and Gore. It took 5 weeks. That was spirited, decided by the Supreme Court.
Yes. Look, there's no doubt Donald Trump has captured a huge portion of the Republican Party base. Correct. Absolutely agree, without debate, without discussion. 100%. But he has yet to prove, and poll after poll shows that based on he's running against a borderline dementia patient at this point, that he is either tied or only leading by 1%. He has yet to articulate that into a message that resonates with the majority, a clear majority of Americans, or a clear plurality in however you want to word it, of Americans. He has not done that yet.
He goes on to say that he could be living a nice life. But instead, he'd rather. This is like a backhanded compliment.
Yes, it is. It's so. I'm so glad you caught on to that.
He'd rather be in the crowd in Iowa.
So, we have to get back to making our country great again. But you're right. Many people ask me that question. They say, "How do you do it?" And I do it because I feel real love, and I feel real appreciation. And I do it because it's more important than anything else I could do. I could be living a very nice life in the most beautiful places all over the world. And here I am with you in Iowa, and I'd rather be here. So thank you very much. Very nice. Appreciate it.
Stuck with you, sorry ass people.
I know. I could be in the most beautiful places all over the world. Here I am with you in Iowa. Oh, whoops.
And they clapped for it.
I know, and they loved it. They ate it up. He's an entertainer.
Kev, it'd be as if Kev walked into the studio and said, "You're lucky I'm here."
I'd rather be here with you people. I could be living a very nice life. I'd rather be with you. What does that say? Yikes.
All right, what's up when we come back?
Don Jr. got hacked, and it's actually his account is more fun when it's hacked. We'll review it coming up on 93 WIBC.
That didn't take long. A Night with WIBC, brought to you by Relay Indiana, is once again sold out. One night only. Tony Katz.
I avoid the use of the words dumb and stupid.
Kendall and Casey.
I'm just strapping you in.
Go for it.
Hammer and Nigel.
Loud, it's chaotic.
And special guests. It'll be informative. It'll be funny. It won't be PC. Didn't get your tickets? Register and win the few we have left online at WIBC.com.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey, and I'd like to talk with you about improving your space with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They can totally transform any concrete that you have around your house, whether it's your garage floor, your driveway, pool deck coating, or even your patio. Consider them for indoor and outdoor concrete. Their number, 317-751-9070, or you can find them online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com, for a free quote. Whether it's indoor, outdoor concrete, Galaxy Concrete Coating.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop.
Sarah, you don't look so good. Are you okay?
To be honest, I did it again last night. I promised myself it would be just one glass of wine, and I drank the whole bottle.
You need to get the drinking under control, Sarah. Trust me, I know. Wine o'clock used to be my favorite time of day, but I found that one glass always turned into more and realized I needed help. I did some research and found naltrexone.
Naltrexone?
It's an FDA-approved medication that reduces cravings and pleasure from drinking, making it easier to drink less or quit alcohol altogether. I started seeing results almost immediately.
How'd you get started with naltrexone?
It's easy with Or Health. Just send them a text and get a secure link to their private online assessment. One of their licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it directly online. They even deliver your prescription right to your front door. No doctor's office visits required.
Thanks, Anne. I'm texting now.
You really can stop drinking or just drink less. Text PROMISE to 323232 to get started today. Text the word PROMISE to 323232. Text PROMISE to 323232.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
Jesse Kelly here. Do you feel protected? My personal protection plan is owning gold. The Oxford Gold Group helps you buy gold to have on hand or convert it into your 401k. If things get weird, I have gold on hand. I like that. You can buy coins or convert part of your 401k with the Oxford Gold Group. It's easy and safe. 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD. 833-995-GOLD.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Don't fall for the free furnace upcharge tricks. Get an honest, fair quote from Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer. CallTheMarshallNow.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf.
You want some?
I need. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now!
On 93 WIBC.
22 minutes after 9, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
You're wishing your day away, Casey.
You ever see anybody on social media that says, don't accept a friend request from me, I was hacked?
Yeah.
That happens like at least every other day, it seems like.
Well, and you have so many friends on social media. I bet it is by the minute you're seeing those messages pop up
all the time
in your feed.
You're correct, Rob, all the time. Donald Trump Jr.'s social media account was hacked, and he was accidentally sharing some weird posts. One of them said, "I'm sad to announce my father, Donald Trump, has passed away." Not true. Another one said that I'll be running for president in 24. Also not true. And there was another one that said Joe Biden posted some racial slurs. Also not true.
Yeah, somebody got into his social media account and was posting some really bad, inappropriate things, and unfortunately for him, that happened. It appears it's been rectified, but I suppose that's part of the deal. That's why people tell you pick a secure password, I guess.
Yeah. Eric Trump posted a couple tweets later about the hacking, kind of making fun of his brother. Said actually he didn't want the account back because it was too entertaining when it was hacked. And neither of them have, Donald Trump or Donald Trump Jr., have released any statement about the hacking. So they just kind of ignored it and moved on.
I think everybody pretty much assumed. Remember, who was the one? Wasn't it Weiner that tried to say, remember when Anthony Weiner, when he tweeted that, was it that he tweeted a picture of himself in his underwear and the baby was in the bed with him or something? And then he tried to, didn't he try to claim he'd been hacked? And then they quickly determined it wasn't hacked. I think pretty quickly people were like, oh, this guy's been hacked. And that's chuckle funny for like a second for some people. And then people just go about their day. Whereas with someone like Anthony Weiner, it was like, oh my gosh, the FBI is involved now.
That's definitely not a hacking when there's pictures involved. Let's talk about this latest YouGov Yahoo News poll, and in it has President Biden leading over Donald Trump. Not by much, though. It's what? It's they're within. They're tied pretty much. It's within the margin of error.
Yeah, so it comes back to, this is a YouGov Yahoo News poll. They're tied statistically with 44% of registered voters, 7% undecided, 4% saying they won't vote. And it comes back to, while polling is but a snapshot of a moment in time, if you believe the trend is trending in the direction of Trump. Biden had a 47-41 edge over Trump in the August poll. And I believe if you go back to and that's about, kind of where it's been. Biden's had a somewhat sizable lead of, somewhere between 7 and 4 points. And now it's tied. And if polling is a snapshot of a moment in time, we are seeing poll after poll after poll showing these guys basically statistically tied. Maybe one person 1 point ahead the other way. And it's another example of the American people saying, please do not make us make a choice between either of these people. The first party to say this old geezer is out will win the election.
Yeah, and to quote Ray Davies from the Kinks, back where we started, here we go round again.
And look, if you're a only Trump person, I will continue to ask this question. What has Donald Trump done to show you, whether it has come up with an issue or a solution for the mass mail-in unaccountable voting, or win people that he alienated in 2020, that exit poll after exit poll shows that many other of these people agreed with Trump's views, but simply abhorred his personal behavior to the point where they couldn't vote for him. What has he done to win those people over to show you it will be different this time? And I don't see an answer to that.
Well, another thing to take note of in this poll is how much the mainstream media plays into things, because when people were asked whether Trump or Biden's family is more corrupt, 41% said Trump and only 38% said Biden.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. The Biden thing is the age. Despite the overwhelming evidence about just just a scumbag Joe Biden is and how he sold his power and influence, the overwhelming mark against Biden is not his corruption. It is his age and feeble-mindedness.
Yeah, 77% of Americans said that they see Biden's age as a small or big problem, while only 64% said the same thing about Trump, and they're only 3 years apart.
All right, Casey, when we come back, John Rust is going to join us. He is an egg farmer from Seymour. He is trying to run on the Republican ticket on the Republican primary in 2024 against Jim Banks for U.S. Senate. The Republican Party, because Jim has kissed the establishment ring finger. He has been a McCarthy butt sniffer. He has now kissed Kyle Hupfer's ass, and they're endorsing him. The Republican Party in Indiana is going all in to try to ensure that no one decent can run against Jim Banks, and they are doing everything in their power to keep John Rust off the ballot. And he is suing multiple people to make this work. This is a super, super important deal because our election laws in this state and our ballot access laws specifically, they suck.
All right, we're going to talk to John Rust next on 93 WIBC.
Stop right now and ask yourself, what is most important to you? Hey, this is Casey Weed at Howard Bailey Financial, the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. We believe in developing retirement plans driven by what is most important to you, your purpose. Then we can build what we call your financial life plan, made up of 4 main pillars: liquidity for emergencies, income to last a lifetime, flexibility to adapt, estate planning to maximize your legacy, and finally, tax planning to maximize what you can spend and pass on. To learn more about saving on your taxes, get your free digital tax guide. Just call or text TAX42 to 866-482-9559. That's TAX42 to 866-482-9559.
Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND-disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa"?
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Impacting Hoosiers, it's 66 and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. The UAW strike is now on the front doorstep of Hoosiers in Kokomo. Stellantis has announced 300 temporary layoffs at its transmission plant there. It's because of the strike that's been getting close to its second week. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says that the strike will start to have a big impact on the economy if it continues.
Look back at history, it could affect economic output, hiring, and inflation, but that's really going to depend on how broad it is and how long it's sustained for.
Union President Shawn Fain, who is from Kokomo, says that automakers have until tomorrow to come to an agreement on a contract, or else the strike will expand. A new proposal by House Republican leaders to avoid a government shutdown appears to have won over some GOP headliners. Several Republicans who voted against a GOP funding bill on Tuesday have agreed to support the new plan, which could come to a vote as soon as today. NASA is enlisting the help of students around the U.S. to help them design their next rover. Fox's Eben Brown.
NASA has been fielding entries from students designing their own rovers that could be used on the moon or Mars, rovers that could carry and move people around. Today is the final day for submission. NASA's Office of STEM Engagement aims to involve students with NASA's Artemis program, which intends to return U.S. astronauts to the moon in 2025. Eben Brown, Fox News.
And now a check of stocks on 93 WIBC. At the opening bell, we're off big time. The Dow is down 136 to 34,304. The Nasdaq down 124 to 13,344. And the S&P 500 is off 27 to 4,375. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You tired of paying these insane rates on your credit cards and other loans? You can cut those payments by hundreds of dollars a month by using the equity in your home. What's up? It's Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. Loan Pronto is here, and they can help you tap that equity and get tens of thousands of dollars in less than a week. Their Equity Express line of credit can get you enough money to pay off all those ridiculous high-interest credit cards or maybe that car loan. You won't lose your 3% mortgage rate. It stays intact. You can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying ridiculous interest rates on those credit cards and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto today, 317-953-6525, 953-6525, 953-6525, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Ready for some high-energy excitement and fun? Head to Jonesboro, Indiana, September 21st to 24th for the Jonesboro River Rally. Amazing stunt bike riders, a cool bike show, fun field events, cool light show, and rockin' live bands all weekend long. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here, special guest in studio. His name is John Rust. He has filed a lawsuit in regards to his U.S. Senate campaign challenging election laws in the state of Indiana. And Casey, we've talked about this before we introduced John. Look, I don't know whether I agree with the guy's politics or not. I do know that I'm on his team because our election laws in this state, they suck.
Yeah, they do seem a little bit hypocritical. Candidates past two primary elections must be cast with the party the candidate is affiliated with, or the county chair has to sign off. Like, you have to get approval from somebody if you voted differently in previous elections.
Yeah, well, the biggest part of this is they take public money, they bring the parties to facilitate their election, the Democrats and Republicans, and then they say, well, we're going to use everybody's money to facilitate our little Dungeons and Dragons club over here, but we get to decide who can play in the Dungeons and Dragons game, and we get to take people who we deem undesirables and do everything in our power to make sure they can't run. That is un-American. John Rust joins us now. John, hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great. So you are a farmer by trade from Seymour.
Yes, chicken farmer.
You have the great misfortune being represented by Jim Lucas, but that's neither here nor there. So tell us about the lawsuit. Tell us about what you're suing for, what you want to see happen.
I am suing on behalf of all Hoosiers. 80% of Hoosier voters are ineligible to run for public office according to this statute. When people hear that, they are like, oh my gosh. I think a lot of people initially thought, well, there's some rule that John missed or whatever, and it was a rule that is narrowly applied just to me, but it applies to every Hoosier. And with that rule, it's 80% of Hoosier voters are ineligible to run for public office.
And they changed the law in recent years because it used to be you had to vote in one primary and then you were in. And then they said, well, we've got too many undesirables getting involved in this process. Now we got to make it two. And basically what they're saying to you as a regular person is if you did not, you in 2020, let's say you for some reason pulled a Democrat ballot for whatever reason, local election or whatever you might have been interested in, and then you said, in 2021, boy, this country's in bad shape. I've changed my mind. I'm a Republican. You would be ineligible to run, essentially, because in 2022, that was the only Republican ballot you pulled. Kind of hypocritical, John, from a party that claims they want to be a Big Tent.
Exactly. And that's why I'm running. I think the establishment, when they see my candidacy, it's like vampires reacting to sunshine. It is, sunshine's the best disinfectant. And when Hoosier voters hear about how this law applies to them, I think people will say, my gosh, this is wrong. I am so glad for John standing up for me to fight for my right to run for public office.
What did compel you to run?
What compelled me to run is the shape of our economy and how career politicians are destroying it. I'm running against Jim Banks. When he was elected to Congress in 2016, the national debt per taxpayer was $170,000. Today, that's over $250,000. It's going up $300 per week per taxpayer. That's unacceptable. That is career politicians working for their own careers, not for Hoosier voters.
When you look at the system and you see, well, the Indiana Republican Party has endorsed Jimmy. Now, Casey, you remember Jim Banks. Mm-hmm. He is the U.S. rep who voted for Kevin McCarthy 15 times. Yep. Told everybody what a great guy Kevin was, what a phenomenal job Kevin would do. He's also the U.S. rep who flapped his gums all day about being against the debt ceiling and then couldn't be bothered to vote on the debt ceiling. So just want to remind everybody who Jim Banks is. John, are you surprised? Jim Banks is basically on social media cheerleading you being kept off the ballot. That's really unbecoming of a guy who claims, well, I fought for the freedoms of every American, and I'm a guy of liberty and freedom. He sure doesn't seem to want you to have liberty and freedom to run against him.
I think he is scared of any opponent. I think his candidacy will not survive a challenge from anyone, and that's why they work so hard to keep other people off the ballot. You saw a litany of really qualified candidates go to D.C. to try to see if there would be interest in them running against Banks, and they were said no. The establishment said, no way, we are lining up behind Jim Banks. That's why I think I have a shot at this, and a strong shot, because I want to push forward for Hoosier voters, not for the establishment in D.C.
All this hullabaloo is because of your past voting record. In 2016, you voted for Republican. 2012, you voted for a Democrat. In 2020, you did not vote. Do you regret not doing that?
Well, in 2020, they changed the election date because of COVID. So I missed the second election. I planned on voting, but, they moved it, and, we were in shutdown over COVID. So there was a reason there that I couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, though. It's like, it doesn't matter whether you chose to vote, not vote. You're an American, right?
Exactly.
I didn't mean to demean any way in Casey's question. I think it's an interesting question. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. You're not obligated to pick the worst turd in the punch bowl.
Correct.
I know John's much nicer than me. I look at this and I think, John, the biggest thing for me is I see the Republican Party in Indiana as the party has endorsed Jim Banks, which means Banks is totally aligned with Holcomb and Hupfer and all the good time fun gang over there. And immediately they moved to keep you a viable challenger. Look, you're a very wealthy guy. I don't say that as a negative. You could clearly run ads and you'd be able to self-fund if you wanted to do that. They're very worried about Jimmy getting any sort of challenger, and they immediately move to ensure that you can't run for public office as a Republican.
Exactly. And that's why I'm running, and it is making me run harder. I care deeply about Hoosier voters, and I want to work hard for them. The establishment is lining up against me. They did all this 8 months before even the primary. That is incredible. That has never happened before.
So real quick, John Rust is our guest. He is he's trying to run for U.S. Senate on the Republican side. The Indiana Republican Party is doing everything they can to prevent him from running. John is now taking it to court. So you're suing. Who are you suing now? There's a litany of people you're suing as a part of this, right?
Right. It's in the complaint. It's the Indiana Election Commission, the Secretary of State is just legally required, and Amanda, because she's the one refusing to sign my ballot.
Yeah, so Amanda Lowry is the Jackson County Republican Party chair. Real quick, John, I want to talk about this because this is how unfair the whole system is, Casey. This one woman gets to dictate essentially whether he can run or not. And I saw this when I was an elected official, where if we didn't like, I'm saying the Republican Party, because I was an elected Republican, if whatever, didn't like somebody in elected office and we needed to find a challenge and it was hard, well, this guy's voting record's a little suspect. Hey, the county chair will sign off on it and this guy can run and it's fine. John, there's something ridiculous about the fact that one person in America, instead of 7 million people, one person could essentially decide if she didn't like Jim Banks, she could sign off and you could run.
Exactly. And that's the whole point on this. And, from what I understand, this will be brought out in the lawsuit, and it's just patently unfair how these county chairmen use this law to keep people off the ballot.
What sort of support, or actually lack of support, are you seeing from the establishment, from anybody in your area?
Behind the scenes, I have very strong support, and that's statewide. People are saying, yes, do this. This rule is absolutely unconstitutional. It is crazy to keep Hoosier voters off the ballot.
You know, Abdul and I've talked about this. We're going to have Abdul on later in the show today. I hope that you win because I think the signature requirement in all 9 counties to have to get the 5 or districts, congressional districts, to have to get those 500 signatures, unless, of course, Casey or Todd Young. He did not have to get those signatures. But to get that is ridiculous. I mean, I think as a collective, even the idea of the publicly funded primary thing is ridiculous because it's a closed-door club, and they clearly don't want me or you in it. And so if that's fine, then pay for it yourself. So I'm hoping, and I'm curious if you heard this from people, that you're not only winning for yourself, but you're winning on a bevy of other issues where these two old parties keep undesirables out of running for public office.
Right. This is all set up to keep anti-establishment candidates out. It's to protect career politicians, and that's what I'm fighting against.
Jim Banks has said no one's trying to keep you off the ballot, that you think you're above the law and that you can just throw money around to buy the U.S. Senate seat. Is there anything you would like to say to Jim Banks? Can you say anything?
No one can buy an election. I want to make my voice heard. Hoosier voters will ultimately decide this in the May primary.
All right, before we let you go, John, I'll let you make the case because I don't know if you know, we have a few people who listen to this show. We're often told by the State House no one listens to this show, but the ratings say there are a few. If people want to join you in this fight, and I think everybody should be cheerleading for you, I have no idea about your politics. If you get on the ballot and can run, we're absolutely going to find out about those. I don't care right now because what I care about is this corrupt system that keeps people that the Republicans and Democrats don't like from running for public office. If people want to join your fight, if they want to learn more about this to determine if they want to join your fight, how can they do that?
Please go to rust2024.com, RUST2024.com.
John Russ, good luck. Keep us posted. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. It's been a dream.
Yeah, a great dream. A great dream.
It's been a great dream. Thank you.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Hey, Rob, you probably know how much money you've saved in your IRA or 401k, right? You watch it every single day.
Well, it's not as much as you, but yes, I try to keep track of my finances.
Do you know how much you'll owe in taxes on this money in retirement?
No, that's why I consult a highly trained professional, Casey.
Yeah, well, that's one of the most important numbers you need to know. Otherwise, you won't know how much money you actually have.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Learn how much money you'll owe in taxes with your IRA and 401k. Just go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com. Just input a few numbers and you'll instantly see how much money you'll owe in taxes when you retire. Plus, and you know only good things come after plus, you'll see how much you could potentially save if you take advantage of simple tax planning strategies. Now, it's from our good friend Bill Demery right here in Indy.
Don't give the government a nickel more in taxes than you have to. Really, don't. Go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That is SaveTaxesWithBill.com.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the latest on the UAW strike, and the border is the story. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Every business deserves a great deal. That's why, for a limited time, we're launching the Mobile Made Free event. With Comcast Business Internet, new and existing customers can get 1 year of unlimited mobile for free. Yep, you heard that right. An entire year, free. It's our best internet, powered by the next generation 10G network and with 99.9% reliability. Plus 1 line of free mobile for a year. The Mobile Made Free event is happening now.
Get started with internet and advanced security for $39 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, for a limited time only, ask how new and existing customers can get 1 year of unlimited mobile for free during the Mobile Made Free event. Call or go online today to learn more. Ends 9/21/2023. EcoBill and autopay required. New 100 megabits per second internet and security edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Mobile offer requires 100 megabits per second internet and new unlimited intro mobile service. Other restrictions apply.
Real estate research reports housing prices are still slowly rising and inventory is still below historical averages. Now is a great time to get a big payday from your equity growth. Hire the agent who is an expert on maximizing your home price fast. Mark Dietel. Perhaps you're worried about settling for less money with a low-ball instant offer. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Ben near Speedway had to say about working with Mark Dietel. After 48 years, it was time to downsize and cash in on my equity. I heard about Mark on the radio and hired him, and he delivered as promised. Mark got me a cash offer with no appraisal before the home went on the market at the price I wanted. Call for all the details. Call the agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Tired of wasting your money on testosterone booster products that just don't work? We don't blame you. That's why Nugenix Total T lets you try before you buy. Just text ENERGY to 369-369 to claim your complimentary sample. Why have millions of men already trusted Nugenix for a man-boosting increase in their testosterone levels? Well, nothing else is like it. It contains testofen, a patented key ingredient shown to work. Nugenix Total T boosts free and total testosterone levels to help you feel better at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand and #1 at GNC and #1 at Walmart. But don't take our word for it. Try before you buy. If it works, keep using it. If not, keep the sample. You've got nothing to lose, but you could gain energy, muscle, drive, even more passion. Text ENERGY to 369-369. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ENERGY to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The reviews are in from McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Robble, robble.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier. The bun is a thing of beauty. The cheese perfectly melted.
Robble.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Robble. Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
The latest local news. Commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey,
5.6%.
Hammer and Nigel.
Biden.
Podcasts. Listen to the station live whenever, wherever. Online at WIBC.com.
It is 9:48. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Some breaking news this morning. Rupert Murdoch has stepped down as the chairman of Fox and News Corp. His son, Lachlan Murdoch, is going to become the sole chairman of the News Corp.
Kid's name? What's his name?
Lachlan.
Lachlan. You know, it's never Jason.
Yeah,
it's
not Steve.
It's always some ridiculous name.
Lachlan. Lachlan.
I've never heard that name before.
Neither have I.
But that name has more money attached to it than mine does, so good on him.
More breaking news. Vladimir Zelensky from Ukraine is showing up on Capitol Hill right now requesting another aid package. 24 million, 24 billion, whatever. A lot of money.
He's just sort of shaking the cup. He's outside the nation's capital just shaking a cup at people.
But it's being reported that Republicans denied his request to deliver an address to Congress.
Good.
He wanted to speak, and they said, "Now sit down."
Maybe we can never let him come back.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Let's talk about what's going on with Ted Cruz. He said that he believes Joe Biden will not be the 24 Democrat nominee. He says that Democrats are going to run who instead? Oh, Michelle Obama.
If it's just the kingmakers saying, nope, we pick you, whoever doesn't get picked, everyone else is pissed. So here's the scenario that I think is perhaps most likely and most dangerous. In August of 2024, the Democrat kingmakers jettison Joe Biden and parachute in Michelle Obama.
Okay, so Michelle Obama, consistently one of the more popular public figures. A recent survey from YouGov said that 77% of Americans have a favorable opinion of her. Only 15% have an unfavorable opinion.
She clearly doesn't want to do it, though, Casey. She's had multiple opportunities.
You think so?
Well, yes. Hell, she could have been the nominee this last time
if she wanted to.
She wanted to do it.
So the second most popular potential candidate is Kamala Harris. I don't see how that's possible. She's like underwater in all of her polling.
Yeah, but that's in national polling, and she is so far left that there's a huge portion of Democrats, and clearly reasonable intelligence is not a standard by which the Democrats hold their candidates to. I present to you John Fetterman, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, amongst Democrats, it's probably not all that surprising.
Barack Obama, many people think already is the puppet master behind the Biden White House. So why would Michelle Obama run if they're already in charge?
Well, look, I mean, maybe she is not beating down the doors to become president of the United States. Now their kids are grown now, so maybe she will change her tune. Who knows? But it comes back to poll after poll after poll showing the first party who pulls the plug on Trump or Biden is probably going to win this thing.
Okay, so Joe Biden continuing to be a complete disaster. I don't know if you noticed this, but he was fiddling with his earpiece. He walked into an American flag.
Time out. I thought when you said he was fiddling with his, and I just was so
you were waiting,
just so tensed up on what was going to come after.
Is today the day we lose the license?
I'm so glad it was earpiece. Go ahead, Casey. Yeah, sorry.
Fiddling with his earpiece. He walked into a flag and then didn't shake the hand of the president of Brazil.
Yes.
Who seemed to be very upset about this.
And this is like the fourth or fifth time now it seems like this has happened where he's on stage with someone, and if you're the president, the last thing you do before they go out there, they're like, okay, one more time. You're going to look left. He's going to look right. You're going to shake hands. You're going to grip and grin. You're going to go this way. There's people, stagers. That's literally what they do. Advanced teams, whatever. And he leaves people in the lurch on the regular.
Yeah, it makes them feel stupid. So no wonder they're upset. Like, I'm standing here ready to shake your hand. You walk away. I don't know what to do with my hands.
It is the equivalent. So we have a dear listener, Jace, who is with us from South Carolina today, who's sitting in our show. I mean, it's amazing, Casey. On one hand, we're told nobody listens, and then people from halfway across the country want to come sit in on our show. He is with us today. It would be the equivalent of when he came up here, if I'd have just said,
hey.
And just walked right on past him.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Except
it's not very welcoming.
Except instead of coming from South Carolina, this guy came from freaking Brazil, which I don't know if you know is farther away than South Carolina.
Yes, I am aware. But once again, Biden claiming that he isn't supposed to speak. He does this all the time. I don't know if they're going to let me answer questions. Who are they? Reminder, you're the president. You can do pretty much what you want, as proven time and time again, but here he is saying he can't talk unless he's told he's allowed to.
President, I couldn't agree with you more. I know I'm not supposed to speak again, but my dad used to have an expression when I was growing up. My father had an expression. My father did not have a college degree, but he was a well-read man, and he worked very hard his whole life. You say, Joe, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about self-respect. It's about being able to look your children in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it.
I mean, he's not wrong on that. That was mildly coherent. It seemed like some decent life advice.
He's used that story before.
Well, of course he has. But we use the same stories all the time, too. Here, Casey, the difference is we can get them out in complete sentences, and they don't change because we're not riddled with dementia.
What happens when he does speak? When he's, quote, not supposed to? Does he get denied his pudding in the evening?
Have you ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore?
Yes.
Don't you picture somebody being in the back like the Ben Stiller character at the nursing home, going like this, putting their finger up to their mouth and then telling, Biden comes backstage and goes, I'd like a glass of warm milk. And somebody looks at him and goes, you're going to get a glass of shut the heck up, old man.
Well, apparently he answered the question. You know who tells him that he's not supposed to talk?
Oh.
It's his staff.
I know the staff is going crazy. They're supposed to say, we're supposed to ask the press to leave a long time ago. But I want to say one more thing.
We cut off what he was going to say.
You're the president of the United States, and you're worried that like some 25-year-old kid in the back is going to be mad at you.
It's the staffers who are controlling everything, not the president. It's the people who work for him. It's like he has to get permission, right?
You are president of the United States. You can do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it. and he is concerned about if some guy named Chet, who's on an internship,
is going to allow it. It was a big day yesterday. There was a hearing. Merrick Garland was there. We've got a lot of it coming up with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Don't you love fall in Indy, but you hate the paint? Well, do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a two-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
No paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0696. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0696. That's 800-583-0696. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, you're up next.
My throat hurts so bad. There's no way I can sing tonight.
Here, try these.
Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Yeah, Vicks VapoCool Drops has maximum strength menthol with a rush of Vicks Vapors.
Ooh, I can already feel it.
I told you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Vaporize sore throat pain fast with Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Hey, Jeff Chapman here. Lordy, I can't believe Chapman turns 40. Since 1983. Heck, I was still in my disco days back then. Staying alive. If your AC's having trouble staying alive, call the man for all seasons. Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Drains. ChapmanHeating.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, the UAW strike leads to some layoffs at this Indiana plant, plus how Indianapolis public schools say they're moving forward as they seek growth out of the COVID pandemic, and who the Colts may have to rely upon this weekend again. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 in Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
Ukraine's president is on Capitol Hill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but not everyone's rolled out a welcome mat for Volodymyr Zelensky at a meeting with House lawmakers.
It's not a good time for him to be here, quite frankly.
Congressman Byron Donald says House Republicans do not want to provide additional military aid.
What's happened with Ukraine is frankly the fault of leadership of Joe Biden. Let's be very clear of that. So don't put that on the backs of the American people now.
The president is expected to provide more assistance when he meets Zelensky following a gathering with senators. Ukraine's leader posted online this morning they need more air defense after another Russian missile barrage barrage overnight that damaged several Ukrainian cities and killed at least 3 people. But as Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports, Congress has an even bigger funding issue, trying to avert a partial government shutdown next month.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy says talks are moving in the right direction after a nearly 3-hour House Republican meeting behind closed doors.
I think we made tremendous progress as an entire conference. We had a great discussion.
But whether enough Republicans will support the short-term plan is still up in the air.
2 Fox Business polls, give former President Trump big leads in the 2024 Republican race. He's at 46% in 2 early contest states. Now, Nikki Haley is second in South Carolina, third behind Ron DeSantis in Ohio.
We are $33 trillion in debt. We're having to borrow money just to make our interest payments. Biden has led us down a socialism creep.
That's Haley campaigned today in New Hampshire. The next Republican presidential debate is next Wednesday on Fox Business and on Fox News Radio. It is day 7 of the auto workers' strike at 3 plants. And in a ripple effect, GM and Stellantis are laying off thousands of other workers at other facilities. The union is threatening to expand the strike tomorrow if there's no progress in talks. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Feeling it in Indiana. It's 68 degrees and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Layoffs are happening in Kokomo. It's at the Stellantis plant there as the strike by the United Auto Workers Union continues at other car-making plants throughout the U.S. Stellantis is laying off 300 workers at its Kokomo transmission plant. Regardless, Union President Shawn Fain says the strike continues.
It's time we get our fair share. We made $250 billion in the last decade.
That's unless the big 3 come to the table with a deal by tomorrow. A bad crash on the east side in the last hour. At least 5 people have been badly hurt along Pendleton Pike near Sunnyside Road. 4 of those hurt were children, say police. IPS Superintendent Dr. Alicia Johnson last night.
Let me first start by saying the state of our district is strong.
In her State of the District speech, she highlighted growth out of learning loss from the COVID pandemic. She also praised taxpayers who voted in favor of a referendum last year, which has helped the district invest more in learning opportunities and better athletic facilities for students. Making a difference. That's what the U.S. Department of Education says 11 schools in Indiana are doing.
One of them is Sugar Grove Elementary in Greenwood. I'm John Herrick. They were one of those 11 schools that was named a National Blue Ribbon School. Sugar Grove's principal, Kristen Rodman, says she couldn't have done it without her teachers, who she spoke to on Tuesday.
Around 11% of schools receive this award. So this is a really big deal, and it's because of you, because you're all rock stars.
Other schools who took home the honor were in Rolling Prairie, Indianapolis, and DeMott, just to name a few. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And with rookie Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson still in concussion protocol, backup quarterback Gardner Minshew has been getting most of the starting reps in practice.
You just get a little tighter with the communication with the guys, give them a little more reps. Feel really good about how the coaching staff prepares us.
The Colts have the Baltimore Ravens Sunday at 1 o'clock. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hey, it's Rob. I started losing hair around my crown, and my hairline was starting to recede. I went to We Grow Hair Indy, and they helped grow my hair back. My friend Dave First, a sports broadcaster for over 20 years, also struggled with hair loss. Dave, what happened?
My thinning hair was bothering me. For me, I'm in the public eye. I'm a dad also, and I want to look and feel my best. And if I'm going to do something about my hair, I want to go with the best. We Grow Hair Indy. They really set the standard.
Dave, that's amazing. I had the same procedure, multi-unit hair grafting transplants, which gives you more hair per procedure, saving you time and money. Call 317-522-2995 for your free hair and scalp evaluation. Find out if hair transplants or PRP is right for you.
If you're thinking about this, don't waste your time or money. Go to the experts.
Call 317-522-2995, 522-2995, or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard for hair restoration.
This hour is powered by Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your American Standard air dealers serving Central Indiana.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together
on 93 WIBC.
Today is Thursday, September 22nd, 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Thank you for joining us this morning. That guy is Rob Kendall. He's on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall. You can also find him on Facebook at Kendall and Casey. My name is Casey Daniels. I'm on Twitter as well. Actually, X. Sorry, Casey Daniels.
No, you're on Twitter. It's fine.
It's always going to be
My
Twitter.
favorite thing is in the newspaper articles where you'll see like X, formerly known as Twitter. Oh, shut up.
Every single time they have to do it that way.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. If you'd like to watch, you can on YouTube. Type in Kendall and Casey into the YouTube search bar. Coming up later this hour, we have Jim Merritt who's going to join us, and we're going to discuss the interview we just had with John Rust. Hammer's going to join us from the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel program.
Speaking of that interview we did with Rust, and Kev will have it up on the podcast. Those of you who missed it, John Rust is an egg farmer from Seymour. He's trying to run for United States Senate. The Republicans, because the establishment, Holcomb Hupfer Incorporated, have deemed Jim Banks establishmenty enough to be a reliable stooge vote for them going forward, have endorsed Jim Banks, and they are putting all the power in their... It's almost Austin Powers. All the power in their power. They're putting all the power and might of the party behind Banks. They're trying to keep this guy from even running for Senate. And when you hear that interview, it's gross, isn't it? It's gross what they're doing.
I thought the biggest takeaway was how you pointed out that one woman potentially could change the entire makeup of the political, outlet here in Indiana.
Let me explain for people who didn't totally understand that what we're talking about with this. So this is how corrupt the election laws are in the state, or ballot access laws are in the state. If you don't, John Rust right now could be running for U.S. Senate, no problem. You don't actually have to vote in 2 Republican primaries, because in the state of Indiana, if they like you or they don't like the person you're running against enough and they believe you're a viable candidate, the county chairman can sign a form to say, no, this person's fine. But because this county chairman loves her some Jim Banks, and they don't want anybody to possibly challenge Jimmy on much of anything, like voting for Kevin McCarthy 15 times or not voting on the debt ceiling or, just a litany of other things, she refuses to sign the form for this Rust guy. However, she were not for Jim Banks, she could sign the form, and we're all good here. These ballot access laws in this state are so corrupt, and they're so designed to keep regular people from running. And so if you missed the interview, it'll be up on the podcast. It's so disappointing what we have and what is currently standing and preventing people, regular people who may have come to the party, a year ago.
Yeah.
You don't get to be a part of it, but you have to pay for it. It's just the total government way, right? Like, you don't get to be in the club, but you've got to subsidize the club. That's for damn sure.
Oh, and we'll accept your vote for the club.
Absolutely.
So we're going to ask Jim Merritt about that hypocrisy coming up, something to look forward to. But it was the Attorney General Merrick Garland who testified before the House Judiciary Committee yesterday. Nearly about 6 hours, fielded a lot of different questions, got heated at times, but he tried to claim at one point that he hasn't talked to anybody at the FBI about the Hunter Biden investigation. Isn't that incredible? He's the Attorney General, right? And here he is saying he didn't talk to anybody in the FBI about this.
Well, I don't want to taint the audio, so why don't we play it, and then we'll get into... Well, I don't want to taint the audio. So why don't we let the audience determine for themselves, and then we'll examine. Deal?
Okay,
all right, here we go.
Have you had personal contact with anyone at FBI headquarters about the Hunter Biden investigation?
I don't recollect the answer to that question, but the FBI works for the Justice Department.
I'm sorry. You don't recollect whether you've talked with anybody at FBI headquarters about an investigation into the president's son?
I don't believe that I did. I promised the Senate when I came before it for confirmation that I would leave Mr. Weiss in place and that I would not interfere with his investigation.
Okay,
I have kept that promise.
All right.
It's almost like he's pleading the fifth. I do not recall.
Well, yeah, Casey, go ahead and ask me. Rob, have you had any conversations with the FBI about the Hunter Biden investigation? Ask me. Go ahead.
Rob, have you had any conversations with the FBI about the Hunter Biden investigation?
No, absolutely not. 100% without debate, without discussion.
Yeah.
Now, Did that sound like what you heard from Merrick Garland?
No. It's like he's trying not to perjure himself.
I also love, and Kev, I'm going to ask you to play here in just a second about the first 5 or 6 seconds of that, because Merrick Garland's response when the question is asked initially sounds like the response I give when my wife will ask me, how much have you had to drink during this sporting event? Are you ready, Kev? All right, here we go.
Have you had personal contact with anyone at FBI headquarters about the Hunter Biden investigation?
I don't recollect the answer to that question.
Yeah. Rob, how much have you had to drink during this football game?
And that's when you come back with, I don't recollect. All right, so Jim Jordan was blasting him over the claim that he turned down Weiss trying to bring charges against Hunter Biden in Washington.
Quote, Mr. Weiss has full authority to bring cases in other jurisdictions if he feels it's necessary. That was your response, Attorney General, to Senator Grassley's question on March 1st, 2023. You just referenced it when Mr. Bishop was questioning you. Only problem is he'd already been turned down by the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, Mr. Graves. So he didn't have full authority, did he?
I had an extended conversation with Senator Grassley at the time. We briefly touched on the Section 515 question and how that process went. I've never been suggested.
My point's real simple, Mr. Garland. You said he had complete authority, but he'd already been turned down. He wanted to bring an action in the District of Columbia, and the U.S. Attorney there said, no, you can't. And then you go tell the United States Senate under oath that he has complete authority.
I'm going to say again that no one had the authority to turn him down. They could refuse to partner with him. They could not.
You can use whatever language. Refuse to partner is turning down.
Well, it's not the same under a well-known Justice Department practice.
This really sounds like to me that Garland is trying to throw Weiss under the bus.
Well, of course, because it's blatantly obvious that they did interfere in this whole thing. How is a guy on camera violating federal gun law? And by what I mean by that is he's clearly using drugs and then lied on the form. And then you've got him dead to rights on tax evasion. And with the liberals, the two unforgivable sins are rich guys not paying their taxes and guns. And yet the dude was about to skadoodle on out the door if his attorneys hadn't acted like a bunch of weirdos. And then if the attorneys had just agreed with the prosecution that, yeah, he can be charged again because he was never going to be charged again. If it were not for the ineptitude of his attorneys, he probably would be scot-free right now.
Mm-hmm. It's so much like that guy did it. No, that guy did it. And they're pointing at each other.
Yes, it's the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Okay. Matt Gaetz, he tells Matt Gaetz that he won't investigate if Hunter Biden is selling access through his artwork.
How can you guarantee that the people buying that art aren't doing so to gain favor with the president?
The job of the Justice Department is to investigate criminal allegations. You have information.
Are you investigating this? I mean, someone who bought Hunter Biden's art ended up with a prestigious appointment to a federal position. Doesn't it look weird that he's become this immediate success in the art world as his dad is president of the United States? Isn't that odd?
I'm not going to comment about any specific.
Not going to comment, not going to investigate. So.
That's right.
And even if he did comment, it would come out something like, I don't recollect. He then refuses to answer Thomas Massey on how federal agents or assets were in the crowd on January 6th.
When I said how many agents or assets of the government were present on January 5th and January 6th and agitating in the crowd to go into the Capitol and how many went into the Capitol, can you answer that now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, last time, you don't know how many there were or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. If there were any, I don't know how many. I don't know whether there are any.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't know that there were any. You want to say that again, that you don't know that there were any?
I have no personal knowledge of this matter. I think what I said last time.
You've had 2 years to find out. And the day, by the way, that was in reference to Ray Epps, and yesterday you indicted him. Isn't that a wonderful coincidence? On a misdemeanor. Meanwhile, you're sending grandmas to prison. You're putting people away for 20 years for merely filming. Some people weren't even there yet. You got the guy on video who's saying go into the Capitol. He's directing people to the Capitol before the speech ends. He's at the site of the first breach. You've got all the goods on him, 10 videos, and it's an indictment for a misdemeanor. The American public isn't buying it. I yield the balance of my time to Chairman Jordan.
May I answer the question?
May I? No, because every time you try, it comes out, I don't recollect.
Let's make sure people understand what the Attorney General for the United States said right there. He wants you to believe that after 3 years, well, 2.5 years, that he has no idea, not how many, which that's ridiculous too, but he has no idea if there were any federal agents on the ground.
He has no knowledge.
On January 6th.
Right. The Attorney General has no knowledge.
The chief law enforcement officer for the United States of America has no idea, is telling you he has no idea if there were any federal agents on the ground on January 6th.
Yep. That's what we heard.
No one believes that.
Okay, I thought one of the best parts came from Indiana's Victoria Spartz. And she unloaded on him for slow walking probes into the Clintons, Hunter, Joe Biden, and FBI involvement on January 6th.
I don't question. You're probably not a bad person. I don't know you. But what I'll tell you, you're in charge of the department. And people right now feel, I look at Durham report and I call on the FISA violations of various of millions of Americans, right? It's like KGB, but when I read Durham reports, we have this, you have a nice, playbook. First, let's have a special counsel, and then you don't have to answer any questions here. Then, let's extend slow walk investigation on Hillary Clinton, on Hunter. Everything is slow walked. We were very quick on Donald Trump, but you were very slow walked. Then, by the time, that investigation and its statute of limitation expired, and all of your agents need to be tested for amnesia. No one recalls anything. Okay, you probably should have as part of your hiring policy. So no one held accountable, which was egregious what happened, in that report. When I read about them, I can't believe it happened in the United States of America. This is my frustration. I'll be honest with you. Then it's very interesting, regardless what it is, even people in Obama administration raised concerns. How can President Sanders...
I'm gonna just put a screwdriver between my ears if we don't stop. You know what we have to do? We have to get her and Fetterman in a room together and just hit record and just let them start talking to each other.
And then we'll need a translator possibly. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
That didn't take long. A Night with WIBC, brought to you by Relay Indiana, is once again sold out. One night only. Tony Katz.
I avoid the use of the words dumb and stupid.
Kendall and Casey.
I'm just strapping you in.
Go for it.
Hammer and Nigel.
Loud, it's chaotic.
And special guests. It'll be informative. It'll be funny. It won't be PC. Didn't get your tickets? Register and win the few we have left online at WIBC.com.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by
Inflation continues to be a challenge.
Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Hennian & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Hennian & Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Hennian & Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
Paid for by government.com. Have you heard? Morgan's silver dollars are back for 2023. For the 100th anniversary, the U.S. Mint released the first legal tender Morgans in 100 years. They sold out instantly. Now, Morgan's silver dollars are back in 2023, minted in 99.9% pure silver, but only 275,000 coins were minted, and they will go fast. The entire market and experts agree this is a big deal and an amazing opportunity for both coin and silver buyers. Just call 1-800-859-1518 and you are guaranteed a 2023 brand new uncirculated 99.9% pure silver Morgan dollar. But with limited quantities, you must call now. To learn more, call 1-800-859-1518. Plus, you'll receive a free bonus Patriots pack, new and improved, a $25 value free with every order. Call 1-800-859-1518 now to secure your new 2023 Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-859-1518.
What with all my expectations long abandoned, my solitary nature notwithstanding, you're the one who pulled me out of that crash.
93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here, and it's time to get educated on what's going on down the street from us at 200 West Washington. And when we do that, we bring in a man with information and resources unlike any other. He spent 30 years in the Indiana Senate. The great, the fabulous, the always cheerful Jim Merritt. Hello, sir.
Robert, how are you?
Well,
and where is my T-shirt?
Boy, you want an
which one you want?
Yeah, do you want an I Hate Rob Kendall shirt, or do you want an I Love Rob Kendall T-shirt?
Well, you know which one I want.
Well, you can get it at store.hammerandnigel.com, and of course, my portion of the proceeds going to Project Rescue to help fight human trafficking across the globe.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I knew you'd love that. Okay, so you know Todd Rokita, right?
I do.
Did you have the misfortune of having any dealings with him? Oh yeah, Secretary of State. You would have worked with him quite a bit.
Yeah, I've known Todd for a long, long time through Congress and Secretary of State and now Attorney General. And his dad's a dentist, and my sister's a dentist.
That's right. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so and your dad was a doctor. Is that right?
My dad's not. My dad's
right.
a business.
No,
my sister's a doctor.
That's right. Thank you.
dentist.
Yes, very good. Not to make this a Merritt family history sort of thing here, but I wanted to take this approach because Rokita, obviously the Attorney General, now has to face charges from the Disciplinary Commission related to his conduct on Fox News about this abortion doctor. You know Rokita personally. Why is he the way that he is?
I think he's I think he's an individual that gets up in the morning and charges the day, and he wants to challenge the outlines of the game of politics, if you will, in government. And he is one of these individuals who says what he believes, and everybody be damned. And I think that angers people, such as our friend Abdul. And there are very few people in politics that are like Todd Rokita. When he ran for the U.S. Senate, I think he thought he was Donald Trump II because he's a slash and burner.
Yeah, Casey and I talk about this a lot, though. So the Rokita behavior, people are like, didn't you and Rokita used to be buddies? Yes, we did. Then he ran for Senate and he behaved like a buffoon and a lunatic. And he learned nothing off of that, Jim, because now it's even worse. He's in a position where he shouldn't be political at all. And he is doing the same stuff. And now it's got him in super hot water.
When people poll and they ask what kind of words they want their politicians to use, the word fight always comes to the surface. They want their politicians to fight City Hall, fight the Democrats, fight the Republicans, and Todd Rokita takes that to the hilt. Mm-hmm. And this is what happens. He's one of these individuals who is spoiling for a fight and uses those terms. And this is a situation that might be untenable for him.
It almost seems like he cut off his nose to spite his face, like he really didn't think this through.
No, I don't think he did, because I'm sure he was surprised by what the commission has come with, and he's got a tough row to hoe this fall. I don't know what the time frame is, but he's got some situations, and he's hired some expensive help, legal help. And we're all just going to sit back and watch.
You mean we have hired some expensive legal help?
That's very true. And some people are going to sit back and get their Diet Coke and their popcorn and watch.
Okay, so the other question I have about Rokita, because there was a whole expose in Politico about this once, I believe, about how hard it is to work for him and the people that he's rolled through over the years because people have said, we are just not going to take this from you. Doesn't he have anybody that could stop him and be like, dude, you should not go on Fox News and do this because, well, this is what might happen?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have anybody that monitors him, that he listens to, because obviously through the years of all the conversations about the treatment of staff and his idea of a lovely day is fighting and challenging his staff and challenging the media.
So is mine, but I wouldn't go on Fox News if I were the Attorney General and do something that any lawyer should know probably going to get me in a bunch of hot water.
Well, he gets carried away. There's no two ways about it. Says what he believes and believes what he says.
All right, Jim Merritt, our guest. Of course, he spent 30 years in the Indiana Senate. Let's talk about this lawsuit involving John Rust. We had him on the program earlier today. I am cheerleading for him on this, Merritt, because I think you as Republicans have rigged the system in favor of your desirable people at the expense of everyone else, while asking us to pay for your little closed-door society.
Now. I served as the Marion County Republican chairman for a couple of years, and what we want is party discipline. We want to nominate people that are Republicans through and through. And what we've seen in the past is that there are kind of leaks and there are cracks in the foundation, and that's what that is all about. Is we want Republicans to run for whatever office, the Republican nomination, and that's what you're seeing here. And I'm not sure what all the yelling is about with Rust. Jim Banks is way ahead, has been endorsed by the state Republican Party, and he's going to win.
Jim, it shouldn't matter whether the guy gets 1 vote or 1 million votes. He has the right to run for public office, and the Republicans and Democrats have coordinated together to say we're going to take public money to facilitate our little Dungeons and Dragons club here, but we don't want anybody to play the game with us who we don't like.
Well,
if you don't take my money and you guys want to do that, great, but you're taking my money to facilitate the way you guys want it done.
We want Republicans to run in the Republican primary, and that's what you're seeing here.
But who is, again, so we always hear from the Republicans, there's literally like a diversity club or whatever it's called now, class or whatever. We need new people to be involved. We want new people to be a part of the process. We need to be a bigger tent. And this guy comes and says, cool, I'd like to be in your tent. Nah. We weren't serious. We don't really want new people in the process.
Well, it goes back to the thought that there are party loyalists that have voted Republican forever, and they believe that they should have a chance for the Republican nod versus somebody that might be scattered and vote Democrat or Libertarian. And I think don't call it a litmus test, but it's in the area code of that. We want Republicans that are running in the Republican primary.
It sounds like it's a loyalty test, but it also sounds very hypocritical, because when it comes to voters, Republicans will say, oh, you voted Democrat, but now you're coming to our team. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to run for office, you had to have been there the whole time.
Well, you could say that. It's interesting.
I did.
I heard her, Jim. She definitely did.
You did say that, and it just, as Republican Party chairman, you want your very best. You want to award people that have that. That pledge that allegiance to the Republican brand, and you want to protect those people.
But you shouldn't. Why do you guys take the public money then to do the elections? I mean, if you guys ran your elections the way Libertarians run their elections, not a word for me. It's your club. You can pick how you do it. You don't want me in it, fine. But you're taking public money, and then you're going, we're going to be super picky about who we allow to run for public office in the state of Indiana, even though we're using the public money to facilitate our elections.
Well, it's not just Republicans. Democrats do the same thing.
I think the whole thing is crap, but right now you guys are the ones who are doing the crap.
Well, the Republican Party is a minority party. In Indianapolis, Marion County, it's 60-40, Democrat-Republican. We need to keep our Republican Party as tight as possible so that we have that teamwork and just think about it. If you're a precinct committeeman and you hear somebody voted Democrat and in a previous election, are you going to work that hard for that Democrat?
Okay, I'll get off of this, but I just want to play out because Abdul and you talked about this on State House Happening. So you're telling me the loyalty test in order to be able to run in your party is I can walk in on primary day, say, give me a Republican ballot, I can leave it completely blank and walk out, and you say I'm a great Republican.
That, as Abdul said on the show, you can do that.
Isn't that just like alarm bells going, this is a really stupid system?
Yeah, but nobody does that, as far as we know.
How do you know?
I don't know that, but the whole idea is the Republican Party needs to be a fine-tuned unit where we can espouse the great things about being a Republican.
What are they?
Well,
we're waiting.
Well, you know where I come from. Lesser government, efficient government, we keep you safe.
But that is not the Republican Party. Hey, before we go, Jack Sandlin passed away, state senator, last night. I know you worked with him for a brief time in the Indiana Senate. Any memories of that?
Yeah, I worked with him for a long time because he was Perry Township trustee. And great man, law enforcement, family man, great husband, and he will be missed. The Republican Party and the Senate itself, Democrat and Republicans, are a family, and all 50 members are close. There are people grieving today, Republican and Democrat.
Where can people find you? What are you doing these days?
Gabriel, it's Jim _Merritt. We do Merritt in the Morning with Klopp. And we have the Attorney General. Merritt in the Morning will be broadcast today, being Thursday, at 3 o'clock with the former Attorney General, Curtis Hill.
Oh, I like that. Maybe you can get his insight on
it will be a question.
Getting their law license.
Senator Sandlin and Curtis Hill were close as well.
All right, Jim Merritt, your national treasure. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Saturday night at Anderson Speedway. It's the Madison County 200. Celebrating Madison County's bicentennial. Come see why everyone's saying, I'd rather be at Anderson Speedway.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Asking for more. It's 69 and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:32. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is on Capitol Hill meeting with lawmakers today. The visit after Russia launched a wave of attacks across the country overnight, and as Congress decides whether to approve the Biden administration's request for an additional $24 billion in support for Kyiv. Spending, or trying to curtail it, is a focal point of Mike Pence's campaign. He was on Fox News this morning.
I know what it's going to take to turn this country around. We'll extend those Trump-Pence tax cuts. We'll deal with the national debt crisis, and we'll promote the kind of free market policies that have always gotten America growing again.
Pence has been slipping in most GOP presidential polls. Ice cream company Blue Bell is looking for a new leader. Their CEO, Ricky Dixon, is retiring. He's been in charge for 7 years, but has worked at the creamery in Brenham for decades. And Dixon took the reins of the company after a listeria outbreak in 2015. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by
inflation continues to be a challenge. Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Hennian & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Hennian & Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Hennian & Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0696. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0696. That's 800-583-0696. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Celebrate a fun 50s weekend in Grant County, Indiana, September 21st and 24th. Cruise over to the Ducktail Run in Gas City and the James Dean Run in Fairmount, 2 of the Midwest's coolest classic car shows. Honor the era of hot cars and cool cats and celebrate where cool was born. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana, classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Don't fall for the free furnace upcharge tricks. Get an honest, fair quote from Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer. Call themarshallnow.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is 10:37. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Rob Kendall, you have something coming up on Tuesday.
Well, it's not just me, Casey. You're going to be a part of it, too.
You're going to allow that?
They don't know you're going to be a part of it, but I'm telling them right now you're going to be a part of it.
I'm telling you right now.
Yes, as you know, Casey, I very rarely leave my house anymore other than to do this fabulous radio show or work my other fabulous jobs, slinging drinks at thirsty patrons on a large plot of land where people hit a little white ball across the land in question. But occasionally from time to time, I do get out and venture out into the great wild and give a speech on politics or government. And I'm going to do that on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Our old friends at the Indy Defenders of Liberty. That's a phenomenal group. They've been around a very, very long time. It will be in Avon. It'll be Tuesday night, September the 26th. Due to anticipated attendance, because, you know, we're told nobody listens, but yet guy drove all the way from South Carolina just to see us. Well, he didn't just to see us, but he wanted to make sure he saw us. Mm-hmm. They are requiring a ticket. So admission is free, but you have to get a ticket. I have the link posted at Rob M. Kendall on Twitter right now, at Rob M. Kendall. It's right there at the top. And Casey, I'm declaring, will be the celebrity introducer. So even if you loathe me and love Casey, a great chance to meet Casey as well.
I think I just got voluntold.
You voluntold yourself.
I did. All right. So that's something to look forward to on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Rob Kendall in the flesh.
If you want to see us rip some Republicans Republicans, and we'll all the folks that we have all the nicknames for, and we'll be talking about all of our rowdy good time fun gang with the establishment. Oh, if you think we're wild and wacky on these radio airwaves, just wait till you see us in person.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on with Dave Portnoy. You know, he's the CEO of the Barstool Sports, and he posted that he got wind that a Washington Post reporter was writing a hit piece about him and his Pizza Fest. And what did he do? He says he does what he always does, and he goes on the offensive. So instead of just taking it, sitting back, he actually called the reporter to ask her what the deal was. And it was about a 10-minute conversation they had. She was backpedaling the whole time, the reporter, and was trying to desperately set up an on-the-record meeting with him. And through the conversation, he was saying, you know, I'm always on the record. Whether, you know, you think I am or not, this is all on the record. He was recording her. She was asking, well, can we do an official interview? And I'll record you this time. They go back and forth. But it was during the interview that she said something that should be eye-opening to anybody who reads any newspaper. Listen to what she says.
Swear, I have not written the story. Believe me.
Have you made your mind up about me?
We're in the reporting phase. I don't, you know, I can't. Not for me to say, and I'm working with somebody else.
But that seems like a pretty straightforward question. That have you made your mind up about me? If you can't answer that, no.
I can say I have not made my mind up about you.
Then why would you include that in the email to sponsors?
Because I was hoping for a dialogue with them. You know, sometimes you have to say something like, this is like, you know, it's sort of a reporting tactic. When you want someone to respond, you kind of have to indicate that there might be something negative, and then you get them to engage. That's all I was trying to do. I really wanted them to engage with me.
That is a sad state of journalism if that's a tactic that you have to, what I would say is make up something about somebody.
That there might be something negative, and so you want to give people a chance to respond and have a conversation with you. That's what I was trying to do.
So that's she's saying.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
She's admitting to him, I'm going to say something negative to try to get you to engage with me.
Yeah, so again, just to kind of simplify what we're talking about here, because there's a lot of moving parts. So Dave Portnoy, who's the Barstool guy, has this big pizza fest. He's a huge pizza guy. When he goes to a city, he'll film himself go into a famous pizza place, and then he'll tell you if it's any good or not. And so he's having this big event, and according to this, at this report, this was it. I can't remember who it was, what paper it was. Did they say?
It was the Washington Post.
Oh, well, interesting. And we'll get to that in a second. She was calling, according to him, allegedly, the sponsors and basically bad-mouthing him to these sponsors who are, you know, helping Dave Portnoy put on this pizza fest, saying, why would you want to be engaged with this guy? He blah, 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 blah. And she didn't deny it there and basically admitted I was doing it to try to create a story.
Yep. It's just it's an example of how the legacy media doesn't like people like him, and they'll go to anything just to get engagement and clicks.
Now, here's what's super interesting, and we won't tell you why she was here, but we had a reporter from the Washington Post yesterday who was here with us in studio. All day yesterday. Again, it's amazing, Casey. We're told down the street, no one listens to your show. No one cares what you have to say. And yet the Washington Post is like, hey, we'd like to follow you guys around for a day and really get to know you because, well, apparently someone listens to our show. She was here the whole time. I thought she was super professional. I thought she was very lovely. We engaged in all sorts of banter about things related to the topic she is potentially writing about. We engaged in conversation not about what she was writing about, but like I thought, hey, this is a person who gives journal. Now we'll see how they write it up, right?
I know, right? Well, I asked you later, are you nervous about this because it was the Washington Post? Is it going to be a hit piece? Hopefully not. No, I don't think so.
But here's the thing. It's like, and I get what Portnoy's saying. It's amazing these two people work at the same paper, given how she was and how this is, because they were nothing alike. But it's like she asked. I said, absolutely, come on in. We will engage with you as we did for 3 hours. We answered every question that she had. We didn't duck or dodge anything. And that's the way we are. We are like Portnoy. I see why he's upset about this, because he is saying, look, if you have a problem with me, come to me directly. I will talk to you. I will engage. For 3 hours, we engage. That is so frustrating when you see somebody who is basically admitting, I am creating a story based around the questions I'm asking versus as the reporter we had in here yesterday, who was very lovely, asking questions about the story she is working on.
Well, I think the most frustrating part for Dave Portnoy is this person was writing this article about him without talking to him.
Exactly.
And she's putting out these negative feelers to try and get him to engage. Just call him.
But bring it back super local. It is no different than remember when WTHR and Old 2Ls and his Verify segment does this big story about accusing Hammer and Nigel of lying about what was going on at Camp Atterbury. I mean, basically, that's what he was trying to say is, hey, we've got all these sources that say Hammer and Nigel are wrong.
Without checking with Hammer and Nigel. Called them. Yes, call the person directly.
And then it turned out Old 2Ls was the one who was wrong, and Hammer and Nigel were completely right because the government admitted everything Hammer and Nigel said, and Old 2Ls never did a updated Verify or an I'm sorry or anything else. This is just time and time again where you have these reporters who are interjecting themselves. They are becoming players in the game instead of reporting what happened in the game itself.
Yeah. And speaking of Hammer, he's worked up today, and he is next on 93 WIBC.
Casey.
Yeah.
Question.
What?
Look, I know you're stupid rich, so money really doesn't matter to you. But if it did, you'd probably know how much money you saved in your IRA and 401k.
Every single dime, Rob. That's how I'm stupid rich. I keep track.
Yeah, what she means is she's very cheap. Hey, but do you know, Casey, very important question, how much you'll owe in taxes on this money in retirement?
It's like the pot calling the kettle black. But no, I don't, actually.
That is the most important number you need to know. Otherwise, you don't know how much money you actually have.
Well, let's investigate. Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. You can learn how much money you'll owe in taxes with your IRA and 401k if you go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That is SaveTaxesWithBill.com. All you have to do, input a few numbers, and you'll instantly see how much money you owe in taxes when you retire. Plus, you'll see how much you could potentially save if you take advantage of simple tax planning strategies now. And that's from our good friend Bill Demery right here in Indy.
People think I'm kidding. Casey actually bought her house with a briefcase full of $100 bills. Don't give the government a nickel more in taxes than you have to. Go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. More Adam Sandler tickets to give away in the 3 o'clock hour, plus the biggest stories in Indy. Rob Kendall off the rails. We're going to have a show. 93 WIBC.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Ugh, I don't have time for a cold.
Honey.
Honey?
You need DayQuil Severe Honey flavor.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honey-licious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honey-licious. Power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/JOY.
Hey, Nigel here. My sidewalk and front porch were falling apart and needed completely replaced. I was just going to go with basic, regular, generic concrete that looked the same as before, but my wife, thankfully, was like, And she showed me the Indie Decorative Concrete website, and I was completely blown away at what they could do in terms of taking a basic sidewalk and porch and turning it into a custom stamped concrete area with more space and an absolutely awesome, unique look. Indie Decorative Concrete is locally owned. They don't use subcontractors. Check them out at indiedecorativeconcrete.com. Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
The Home and Garden Show hits the road again this Saturday. Join us live from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sullivan Hardware and Garden to celebrate the first day of fall during the final week of their patio tent sale. Sullivan Hardware and Garden and 93 WIBC.
She's my cherry pie.
10 minutes away from 11, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And Hammer joins us in the studio from the Hammer and Nigel Show. Good morning.
When I hear that song from Warrant, Cherry Pie, I think about one of the great promotional videos of all time, the Hammer and Nigel Show car wash video. You've seen that video,
I
haven't
have seen it.
You're welcome. Let's talk a little bit about Marion County here because it's getting national attention.
Yeah.
NBC News, Fox News, all these national media outlets are talking about how much of a Mickey Mouse operation the criminal justice system is in Marion County.
Welcome to the party, Bal.
Right. Something we've been talking about for a number of years on our show, on your show, with the previous host. If you've been listening to this radio station, you know we tell you the truth. We live here. We come downtown. We're here every day. We know what's going on. And this story about the Marion County Sheriff's Office, barely 1 month removed from the debacle that killed a deputy, just accidentally signing out a murderer. And they can't find the guy now. Oh, they got his girlfriend. Yeah. They've questioned other folks, but the actual murderer who was wanted on 3 warrants from Minnesota is still somewhere out there. And the cherry on top of the sundae is that this happened last Tuesday, last week, and we just found out about it this week.
Yeah, and their excuse was, well, we didn't want to give him a heads up that we knew. We thought it'd be easier to catch him if you let a violent alleged murderer out onto the street and you didn't think the public had the right to know hey, if you've seen this guy, call 911.
Yep.
So when a sports team struggles, you can't fire all the players because maybe you do have good players. You fire the manager.
Yeah, that's right.
You fire the coach.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're kind of at that point with the Marion County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office here. There's a lot of awesome workers that go out there every day. They're overworked. They're underpaid. They have to deal with a mayor and a prosecutor that makes their life a living hell. But the leadership, Carrie Forrestal, you are on a losing streak that warrants a serious conversation about your competency. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw the Marion County Sheriff's deputies all get together and have a vote of no confidence because this loser is a problem leading their ship.
And what do they all have in common? Whether it's Mears or it's Forrestal or it's Hogsett, they're all left Democrats, and they're all institutional people who have come up through that Marion County Democrat machine, and they all are totally incompetent buffoons.
So 60% of the vote voted for Ryan Mears.
Yeah.
Approximately the same amount voted for Carrie Forrestal. So maybe we're the minority here. Maybe we're the loud minority because 60% of the people feel like this is just fine. 60% of Marion County residents say letting a murderer go, allowing a deputy to be murdered because he was alone with a violent murderer is just fine.
Well, and let's face it, would you be surprised if the mayoral election does not go that exact same way given the campaign Shreve has run?
Joe Hogsett's going to win a third term, and I hate that. I do. But that's the real reality here. And years from now, the history books, you're going to be explaining to your grandkids. They're going to ask questions. Hey, I see that Joe Hogsett won 3 straight terms in Indianapolis. That's very rare. He must have been really good at his job. Indianapolis must have been thriving during that time. Well, little Jimmy, it's quite the opposite. We had record homicides. Businesses were leaving in droves. The homeless and drug problem was never worse, and the criminal justice system was a national laughingstock.
One of the biggest problems you've seen is because of the growth of the suburbs on the backs largely of irresponsible planning and zoning by these municipalities have allowed, no offense, Hammer, anybody with an ounce of common sense to get the hell out of Marion County. And I know you stay, and look, I'm a townie lifer. I live just like you, so I'm not saying you're wrong for doing this, but the majority of people who are inclined to vote for someone other than Joe Hogsett said, why wouldn't I just move? Then I never have to deal with Joe Hogsett.
I counter that with the defense that Michael Bolton gave in the movie Office Space. Why should I have to change? He's the one that sucks.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know me. There's no one who stands and fights against their local government more than me. And so I think there's something very admirable in that. But it sucks. It sucks because so many people have left that these elections aren't even competitive anymore.
Right. And Cindy Carrasco, who lost the prosecutor's race to Ryan Mears last year, was a good candidate. She was funded well. I thought she ran a pretty good campaign. You know, I wasn't in love with the people that ran her campaign, but she did all the right things. And she got beat 60% to 40%. And that is the breakdown of Democrats to Republicans in Marion County, give or take a few numbers here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And this is the Republican Party. The guy who was the head of the Indy GOP just got promoted to a high-ranking position in the state party. And Joe Elsner's a fine guy. He's always been very nice to me. But the Marion County GOP is a complete train wreck. It's a disaster. They hold no offices here other than a couple in the city council. They're ineffective. They're inefficient. They're a joke. Look at this loser they've got as their standard bearer this time.
It'd be like giving a raise to the general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hey, look, you've been in last place for the last 5 years, but we really like the direction of the program here, so here's more money.
We like what you're doing. Keep on. Well, in your opinion, which is worse, Mears or Hogsett?
Oh, we don't have time for this. This is a full 3-hour show's worth of conversation here, but we'll talk a little bit about Ryan Mears this afternoon because we've got more information on this horrible witch or something that rhymes with it that stabbed the baby.
Yeah, it's gross. Thank you, Hammer. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Rob. I started losing hair around my crown, and my hairline was starting to recede. I went to We Grow Hair Indy, and they helped grow my hair back. My friend Dave First, a sports broadcaster for over 20 years, also struggled with hair loss. Dave, what happened?
My thinning hair was bothering me. For me, I'm in the public eye. I'm a dad also, and I want to look and feel my best. And if I'm going to do something about my hair, I want to go with the best. We Grow Hair Indy. They really set the standard.
Dave, that's amazing. I had the same procedure, multi-unit hair grafting transplants, which gives you more hair per procedure, saving you time and money. Call 317-522-2995 for your free hair and scalp evaluation. Find out if hair transplants or PRP is right for you.
If you're thinking about this, don't waste your time or money. Go to the experts.
Call 317-522-2995, 522-2995, or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard for hair restoration.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0696. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0696. That's 800-583-0696. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Ugh, I don't have time for a cold.
Honey.
Honey?
You need DayQuil Severe Honey flavor.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honey-licious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honey-licious. Power through your day, medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Coming up in 2 minutes, Ryan Hedrick reports on where layoffs are happening in Indiana because of the UAW strike, plus the plea from sheriff's deputies to the man who was accidentally released from jail. And if you need a job, this State Department is hiring. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Zelensky goes to Washington again. CJ Papa, Fox News. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with President Biden later this afternoon, but first, separate meet and greets with groups of lawmakers in both the House and Senate.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries accompanied Zelensky to the first meeting this morning. Yesterday, senators heard the case for Ukraine aid from CIA Director Bill Burns and Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines. But some GOP members, especially in the House, oppose attaching any Ukraine money to an interim spending bill to avert a government shutdown.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Republicans will take up a procedural vote on their defense bill again today, following a breakthrough after a nearly 3-hour-long meeting to hash out their differences in funding the government. Texas Congressman Jody Arrington on Fox Business.
We're getting our fiscal house in order, and it's a painful and protracted process, but the most important thing is we rein in the spending.
Customs and Border Patrol sources saying the department encountered over 10,000 migrants at the border yesterday, which echoes those numbers of 10,000 plus in May and the days before Title 42 ended. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville.
The biggest problem we have right now is not Ukraine, it's the border.
The Republican on Fox News. Now, Republican hopefuls on the campaign trail, including Nikki Haley.
I don't need to tell you how bad things are. You don't have to turn on the news to see it. You feel it when you go into the grocery store. We feel it when we fill our cars up with gas.
Haley earlier at an event in New Hampshire. Fox News Radio will be providing special coverage of the second Republican primary debate beginning 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, September 27th. Go to foxnewsradio.com to listen and find out more. And moments ago, convicted killer Alec Murdaugh inside a South Carolina courtroom pleads guilty to financial crimes. America's listening to Fox.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's impacting Indiana. Now 72 and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Because of the UAW strike, 300 people will be laid off temporarily at the Stellantis plant in Kokomo. Ryan Hedrick reports.
And United Auto Workers Union boss Sean Fain says the union wants its fair share.
They made $21 billion in the last 6 months. Our pay has went backwards. We got 6% pay raises over the last 4 years.
Fain, a Kokomo native, has stated that the union is prepared to expand its strike to additional locations if the big three do not comply. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A bad crash on the east side this morning. At least 7 people are said to be hurt, and it was along Pendleton Pike near Sunnyside Road. 4 of those people hurt were children, say police. Kevin Mason is still on the loose after being accidentally let out of the Marion County Jail last week. Sheriff Kerry Forrestall urging him to turn himself in.
I have a reminder to Kevin Mason, here's an opportunity to turn yourself in. 327-SAFE. A chaplain will answer that phone and we can arrange a safe surrender.
Forrestall says that they arrested his girlfriend on Wednesday. Desiree Oliver is accused of helping Mason get away after he was let out. If talk of the economy lately has got you down, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb says there's plenty of good things to look forward to. John Herrick reports.
What Indiana has proven in the Midwest is we pop off the map.
At a hearing on the economy in Goshen Wednesday, both Holcomb and several other leaders in Goshen said his Regional Economic Acceleration and Development Initiative has already granted money to several worthy causes. Holcomb does admit that the state's average wage of more than $33 an hour is lower than last year, but still higher than the national average. John Herrick, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
INDOT is hiring. The department hosting job fairs next week for several winter positions available that run from early November to early April. Go to the INDOT website for details. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We recently saved a 50-year-old couple over $300 per month when compared to their old individual plan. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 per month when compared to their quote on healthcare.gov. We are now entering the crazy enrollment season when our federal government will spend millions telling us that healthcare.gov is our only good option for quality health care. Whether it's called healthcare.gov, Affordable Care Act, or it's still Obamacare, don't let the federal government or their big insurance company cronies tell you that you don't have a choice. Give us a call at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Quoting the great Dr. Duke Tomato, Lord, please help our Colts. And as always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
This hour is powered by Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your American Standard air dealer serving Central Indiana.
To Rob Kendall.
It's an action-packed show today, Casey. Let's go!
And Casey Daniels.
The gang is all back together.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, September 22nd. It's 5 minutes after 11. This is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Thank you for joining us this morning. His name is Rob Kendall. He's on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels. I'm there too, Casey Daniels 317. And we're both on YouTube. If you type in Kendall and Casey into the YouTube search bar. Also, you can hear all the music that Kevin picks as our bumper music. If you're on Spotify, just type in Kendall and Casey. You get that playlist. Or enter today's date and then Kendall and Casey, and you'll get each day's specific playlist. Okay, let's talk about what's going on in New York City. They have lost their minds, Rob.
They have lost their mind. They lost it a long time ago.
Yeah, they're now talking about getting rid of statues, specifically George Washington statues, Christopher Columbus statues, and this is all part of a reparations plan. Didn't they not hear what happened in California?
Well, and don't you love that we have now reached a point where George Washington is offensive and it has to be removed. And this is what we talk about all the time on this show, is that the left, liberalism, radical leftism, it's never satisfied. It can't be satisfied because it exists to eat. It is like a game of Pac-Man where it just keeps moving and it just keeps eating and it just keeps consuming. And eventually it will come for you. And what is amazing is all the way back in 2017, Donald Trump was warning people about this. This was back when he was still on Twitter, and they were taking down statues of like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. He literally said, and this was the tweet from August of 2017, Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, who's next? Washington, Jefferson, so foolish. And at the time, if you remember, people said, oh, well, that would never happen. They wouldn't. Here we are 6 years later.
Yeah.
New York is trying to remove statues of George Washington.
Okay, so the City Council's Cultural Affairs Committee is reportedly set to host a public hearing, and one of the members has been on record in New York City's City Council. Somebody asked her, aren't you going to offend a bunch of Italians if you take down the Christopher Columbus statue? And she was not aware that he was Italian. Like, learn your history before you start making these decisions. They want to replace these statues with $10,000 plaques.
Yeah, so they've got this City Council Cultural Affairs Committee. Boy, doesn't that sound like a just rousing group of individuals. And they're going to host a public hearing on the idea that they would, this is according to Post Millennial, get rid of any statue or initiative or painting or anything on city property of any person that depicts a person who owned enslaved persons or directly benefited economically from slavery or who participated in systematic crimes against indigenous people or other crimes against humanity. So like Trump said, Washington, Jefferson, et al., all the founders for the most part, not every single one of them, but for the most part, they're all out of here. And this is what, if you look at Marxist communist regimes, what do? What is one of the staples? You erase the history and then you create the history.
Right. Our history, it's like an onion, right? There's many, many layers to it. And why do you have to completely get rid of it? Statues are stationary, by the way.
Right.
They're not, they don't do things. Now they're blaming a statue for what? Inspiring you to do something?
Yeah, I mean, what is the theory? That someone's going to look at a George Casey, okay, let's just try this. This could totally blow up in my face, but I'm going to try it here. When you see a photo of George Washington, when you look at a $1 bill, what do you think? What are the first things that come to mind?
Well, I think founder of the country, first president.
Yes, obviously, yes. People would think you are inspired. I, to this day, when I look at a $1 bill, am inspired by this stoic expression of George Washington, and I think of all the incredible things that George Washington did. He is arguably the greatest American who ever lived, which is why our nation's capital is named after him. There's another state named after him. George Washington, you could make a very compelling case, is the greatest American who ever lived, and clearly we would not be a nation now without the sacrifice of George Washington. You can tell the story of George Washington and say that and have a statue to him and still say, hey, look, the guy owned slaves as many Americans did at the time, and that was abhorrent and that was awful, and we should totally reject and refute any person who promotes racial discrimination to this day, blah blah blah. But it doesn't mean that we erase the incredible bravery that George Washington showed leading the Continental Army to arguably the greatest military upset in human history, and then leading successfully the United States of America for the first 8 years of its inception.
And those mistakes have been corrected, by the way.
Of course they have.
I mean, we started the show talking, Donald Trump saying that the MAGA movement is one of the greatest political movements of all time. And one of the movements that I mentioned was the abolitionist movement, all right? We corrected that mistake, so let's move on from there. But isn't it more important at this point that they address more pressing issues that are going on in that city?
Aha, now you've hit the nail on the head, Casey, which is, and I've talked about this for many years on these airwaves and many others. Liberals can't actually solve problems, so they invent problems so that you won't pay attention or will be distracted or won't put the magnitude necessary behind the problems that they are unable to solve. After the lunatic behavior during the Summer of Love, Joe Hogsett didn't fix that here. He allowed a group of people to paint Indiana Avenue. Why? So then nobody's focusing on Joe Hogsett's inability to solve violent crime, and 3 years later, we've still got suspected murderers accidentally being released from custody. Liberals don't solve problems. They invent new problems to keep you from focusing on the problems they promised to solve that they did not solve.
One of the big problems facing New York City right now, and well, the entire country, but definitely there, as the governor has said, the governor of New York has said, they're at capacity and they have new migrants arriving every single day. They're settling there. And now the Biden administration granting temporary legal status to nearly 500,000 migrants. So now they can work. And keep in mind that this is posing a $12 billion cost to the people of New York. But let's not talk about that. Let's get rid of these statues.
My other favorite part of this, according to the Post Millennial, is that there's going to be a public design commission that is going to be made to oversee installing, quote, explanatory plaques.
Yeah.
So, like, if they allow the Washington statue to stand, hey, yeah, this dude, sure, he led the Continental Army and he won the Revolutionary War and he was our nation's first president And yeah, but that MFer, he owned some slaves, so you need to know how awful he was. We just know there would be too much outcry if we actually took him down.
Okay, so we've completely lost control at the southern border, and we're giving all of these work permits to these Venezuelans. What do you think is going to happen next? More will come. And that's more that New York City and every other city across the entire country is going to have to deal with. But these people would rather worry about a statue.
Let's move on because I'm going to say something that gets myself in trouble. And I'm way too valuable to get in trouble, Casey.
Okay. Yesterday, the Judiciary Committee were peppering Attorney General Merrick Garland lots of questions about the Justice Department's investigation into Hunter Biden. And at one point, Garland was blasted over doing nothing about Joe Biden admitting that he strong-armed the Ukrainian president and prime minister into firing Shokin.
Yeah, there you go. Solid. Mr. Attorney General, what you just saw there was Joe Biden in his arrogance and role as the vice president of this country saying if you don't fire Shokin, the United States isn't given the $1 billion loan. Why would Joe Biden say that as the vice president? Why would he say such a thing? Was it policy? Was it our policy at the time? Yes or no? It wasn't. I have documents here. Interagency Policy Committee dated October 15th.
Point of information, is the gentleman ever going to let the gentleman
I'm on my
answer
time,
question?
pipe down. Saying Shokin had made significant reforms.
Texas.
He's made significant reforms. Shokin did. Matter of fact, John Kerry says he was impressive. And you know, within a few months after Shokin was fired, they appoint a prosecutor that said, we're not going to look into Burisma anymore. Cancel that. Forget it. We're not looking into Burisma. Boom. Here comes the $1 million. Joe Biden threatened the Ukrainian president and the prime minister. Everybody can see it, to fire Shokin, or the United States won't give the $1 billion. If that is not quid pro quo, sir, what is? I will tell you what it is, and America agrees with me. It's bribery, and it's impeachable. Are you going to do something about it? I bet you're not, and that's why you, sir, also need to be impeached. I yield back.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
So Troy Nehls is the guy's name who you were hearing. He is a U.S. rep from Texas. And my favorite part of that is where he tells Jerry Nadler, hey, Tubby, pipe down.
I'm going to take my time. This is it. This is my time. The impeachment inquiry is set to begin on Thursday of next week, so clear your calendar for that day.
Casey, when we come back, there is a piece of audio. Some local TV station in South Carolina talked to a guy who saw that military plane go down, that $100 million plane that was lost, and it's now obviously just a pile of debris.
You mean that $100 million plane that you paid for?
Yes, that we paid for. Yes, that's correct. It did not grow in a plane tree. And this local TV station caught up with a guy who saw the plane go down, and his description is just the best.
It's on the way with Kendall and Casey from 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense. Yeah, I think you got it. It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world. It's a great world, everything's so. This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Fall in Indy. And since 2001, Rhino Shield has been covering Indiana homes and businesses. Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
They started on the building. They waited for us to leave, and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night, and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Paid for by government.com. Have you heard? Morgan's silver dollars are back for 2023. For the 100th anniversary, the U.S. Mint released the first legal tender Morgans in 100 years. They sold out instantly. Now, Morgan's silver dollars are back in 2023, minted in 99.9% pure silver, but only 275,000 coins were minted, and they will go fast. The entire market and experts agree this is a big deal and an amazing opportunity for both coin and silver buyers. Just call 1-800-859-1518 and you are guaranteed a 2023 brand new uncirculated 99.9% pure silver Morgan dollar. But with limited quantities, you must call now. To learn more, call 1-800-859-1518. Plus, you'll receive a free bonus Patriots pack, new and improved, a $25 value free with every order. Call 1-800-859-1518 now to secure your new 2023 Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-859-1518.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
The question, is Rob just young, inexperienced, and naive, or, more troubling, is he a fool who has no idea what the hell he's doing?
Call on me. I'd like to answer that question. 19 after 11 is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So a third of millionaires fear they could outlive their retirement savings. This is according to a new survey. So the benchmark used to be $1 million. You think you need $1 million to retire, right? But now 33% say they're afraid they're going to run out of money rather than run out of life.
Well, and this is a staggering statistic. According to this new survey, millionaires on average think they'll need $3 million to retire comfortably. Now, we've gotten into the thing of it's a quality of life, a standard of life issue, what may be comfortable for you, and because you live a very jet-setting, high-flying existence, is going to be markedly different than me, and then Kev, one step below us, living in his van, will need even less than both of us. But, I mean, look, kind of done the math, right? $50,000 is not a lot of money now on a yearly basis. To bring in $50,000 is not a lot of money. You're certainly not dining at St. Elmo's every evening. Well, if you had $1 million, simple math tells us that's 20 years. I mean, if you retire in your mid-60s or early 60s, you could certainly live to your early 80s, and then boom, there it is, it's gone. I mean, it's $1 million sounds like a lot of money. It's really not.
Okay, so overall, the average American now thinks that they're going to have to work until they're 65 to be retirement ready. That's up from 64, which was just last year. And if you ask me tomorrow, it's probably going to be 66 or 67, depending on the gas prices that just keep ticking up and the cost of everything else that just keeps ticking up on a daily basis.
Well, you know, we did the whole thing yesterday about the national debt and how, hey, and we did it on every 10 years because in 1982, it went over $1 trillion. And we talked about how, hey, there was certainly, and this is where I can't make it any more clear to you how there is no difference between Democrats and Republicans on most things. You know, under Republicans for the next 10 years, it grew by about 4 times that amount, up to the 4 million something. Yet then under majority Democrat rule from 92 to 2002, Clinton was forced to. He didn't do it willingly, but we give credit where credit is due. Clinton worked with Gingrich. They balanced the budget, and the nation's debt over the next 10 years only, it's funny to say, but certainly by today's comparison, only grew by $2 trillion. And then you saw absolute explosion under Bush and Obama, and then the next 10 years, you saw an absolute even greater explosion under Trump and Obama. And now under Biden, it's a new level of stupid. And look, this is where we're at. I mean, these politicians are to blame, but we keep voting for these same people. Why? Because legalized vote buying is the drug these people live by in Washington, D.C. It's the drug the nation lives by, our state lives by. This is wild, Casey. Okay, so last week I talked about, we were laughing how I went to the Brownsburg Town Council meeting, and they are proposing, they apparently have enough money for an $18 million swimming pool and to give town employees 8% raises, but they're so tight on their money, they have to raise your tax rate by 5%. And I'm looking at this chart, and I'm laughing because their budget, Casey, Brownsburg is a town of 30,000 people. Their proposed budget, you're going to puke when you hear this number, it's almost $80 million.
Wow.
Casey,
that's a
like,
lot.
and I was doing math in my head, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. That's like $35 million more than when I was on the governing board. And that was only 7.5 years ago. The budget has almost doubled in 7.5 years. The town expenses have not doubled. You find, and then my point in all this is, and it's true in every community. Like if you look at every community, it's almost identical to this. People find ways to grow the government. It's not like, well, inflation really got us, and so we had to. No, you find new things to make government, and then once you've made it government, then you have to keep it forever. We talk about it in the state of Indiana with the Medicaid expansion or the school entitlements, or, now it's free textbooks for everyone. The textbook fairy is going to come under everybody's pillow and put a textbook out. No! You've made it a government entitlement. Once you make something a government entitlement, it never goes away. And this is why this crap is out of control.
You ask often, where does the money go? We have your answer. It goes to your taxes. It's right there in their budget.
Yes, but Casey, I'm being facetious. I know where it goes. They waste it. But on what?
On a pool.
Do you ever look around and go, WTF am I getting for my money? Have you ever just stopped in the middle of the day and said, what am I? Like if you live in Indianapolis, look at this hellhole in which we are existing right now. Have you ever stopped and gone,
where did the money go? Yes, all the time when I get my paycheck.
Yes.
And they tax it. And then I go to the grocery store and they tax what I buy. And I fill up my car and they tax that. Yes, everything. And now just watch. They're going to stop calling it a tax and they're going to start calling it a fee.
Well, that's what you say that, but that's what the Indiana Republicans do. Like if you look at when you get your license plate, your disposal fee. I mean, there's all sorts of fees on when you get your license every year. There's a reason it costs $150 or $125 or whatever it costs. Well, look, you drive a very expensive car, Casey. I drive a car that was around when Capone was calling the shots in Chicago. So that's why mine is less expensive than yours.
No, don't lead our listeners on. I drive an older vehicle as well. It's not like I'm driving around a brand new car.
Don't you have to aren't your motorcycles very expensive though?
Yeah, and there's insurance there. That's where the money goes to.
And how many times out of the course of a year do you think you actually drive your motorcycle?
Not as much this past year.
Yeah, and think about it,
reasons
but you have
for
to
that.
You have to pay for it regardless,
yeah,
right?
it's sitting there insured, not being ridden.
But my point on all of this is they don't call it taxes. It's a so and so fee or a this fee or that fee. It's a tax.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go to break. So that plane, that military aircraft, $100 million plus on the tab that we paid for, it simply disappeared. We heard John Kirby the other day go, "Oh yeah, we'll look into it. We'll figure out why it disappeared."
Flew 60 miles without a pilot.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
They're lucky it went down in a field, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of a crowded city.
Yeah. So a local TV station in South Carolina caught up with this guy who purports to have seen the plane crash, and the audio is just priceless.
In the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
Sounds like Kevin Sunday at the Viagra Boys concert.
That was like a Little Richard scream right there.
It was.
I want to start a band with that guy.
Grab that audio clip and throw a beat behind it, okay?
That'd be cool. I mean, it was like on pitch and everything.
Yeah, it was. Apparently, other eyewitnesses said that fighter jet flew upside down at over 100 feet before it crashed. It was inverted. It is 11:27. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or federal alternative minimum tax.
The stock market dropped by over.
The Federal
continues
Reserve
to be a
raised
challenge
interest
for
rates.
retail.
Let's face it, investing can feel pretty scary and overwhelming these days, especially if you're retired or close to retirement, which is why you should consider investing in municipal bonds from Hennian & Walsh. Municipal bonds can provide a source of federally tax-free retirement income. Plus, an investment in municipal bonds is an investment in America. Municipal bonds help finance finance major civil projects across the country, like the Golden Gate Bridge and Hoover Dam, as well as local roads, bridges, and schools. Call 1-800-761-9761 right now for our informative free bond guide and learn how you can earn tax-free retirement income while investing in America's future. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for the free Henny and Walsh bond guide. There's no cost and no obligation. 1-800-761-9761.
Henny and Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
After 24 years on the force, I've hung up my uniform. I've supported Mayor Hogsett in the past, but this year I'm voting for Jefferson Shreve. I've met Jefferson Shreve, I've spoken with him, and he understands that for this city to be safe, we need to retain veteran officers, hire new ones, and give them proper training. Jefferson Shreve understands what this city needs to be safe again. I'm retired IMPD officer Dan Green, and I support Jefferson Shreve.
My name is Crystal, and I moved here from a bigger city. I came here specifically to feel safer and to help grow my career, but it has not been that exactly. I really love fitness, and running outside has always been important to me. But in downtown Indy, it just does not feel safe. I've never voted before, but this time it's really important. I've met Jefferson Shreve, and I really like him. He has a plan to make Indy safe. So this time around, I'm voting for Jefferson Shreve.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, my wife and I are customers of Indy Decorative Concrete. They did an amazing job. I have an old house. The sidewalk and the porch was falling apart, and they transformed our sidewalk and porch into a custom stamped concrete area with more space and an absolutely awesome, unique look. And I love that Indy Decorative Concrete is locally owned. They don't use subcontractors. You have to check out their website, indydecorativeconcrete.com. That's indydecorativeconcrete.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Wanting more help? I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Ukraine's president is in Washington as the White House wants $24 billion more in support for Kyiv. Fox's Jared Halpern.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with lawmakers on Capitol Hill as additional Ukraine funding becomes a flashpoint in a spending bill needed to prevent a government shutdown.
He's the best messenger for the people of Ukraine and his armed forces, clearly.
White House National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby says President Biden will also announce the latest security aid package for Ukraine. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Rupert Murdoch is retiring from Fox News. His son Lachlan Murdoch will be taking over as the chairman of the company and will continue as CEO of the Fox Corporation. Murdoch isn't going away completely, though. He will become chairman emeritus. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Not everyone can be a champion in high school sports, but everyone can be a champion of high school sports.
That's right. Fans and parents can be champions. Coaches and officials, educators, and the media can all be champions of high school sports. I'm Paul Knighty, Commissioner of the IHSAA.
And I'm Assistant Commissioner Janie Ulmer. Being a champion of high school sports is about so much more than winning and losing, setting records, or raising trophies.
It's about supporting the mission of education-based athletics, preserving the opportunity for student athletes to grow and develop in the second classroom, and to protect high school sports for future generations to come.
Champions of high school sports are just one of the many reasons that education-based athletics in Indiana are so special.
And the easiest way to be a champion is by buying a ticket to your high school's athletic event.
This is showing support. This is championing high school sports. This is your IHSAA. Don't fall for the free furnace upcharge tricks. Get an honest, fair quote from Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer. Call themarshallnow.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
It's 11:32. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Rob, we've been on the air for 2.5 hours now, and you didn't correct me at all.
That's correct.
All morning, I've been saying that it's Thursday, September 22nd.
That's correct.
It's not.
Right.
It's the 21st.
That's correct.
Why didn't you say something?
Because I figured if you were too lazy to look it up or too incompetent to realize what day it was, then
You're going to let me go with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's unlike you. I thought for sure you would just jump all over that.
No, I'm done correcting you. I'm just going to let it roll now. Like if you wanted to call whatever you called that guy Lynchpin or whatever Murdoch's kid's name was.
Lachlan.
Yeah, I think it's Lachlan.
Lachlan.
Yeah. I'm just done correcting you, Casey. I've done it for a year and a half, and I'm just going to let it roll. Whatever comes out of your mouth, we're going to roll with.
Okay. Tell everybody what you have coming up on Tuesday. Let that roll.
That's now I need Casey to help me with something. Casey will be
Wait,
there.
what?
With this as well. Going to be speaking at the Indie Defenders of Liberty. It'll be Tuesday, September the 26th. Because today is the 21st, so 22nd is Friday, 23rd is Saturday, 24th is Sunday, 25th is Monday, 26th is Tuesday. It'll be 6:30 in the evening in Avon. It is free to attend. However, due to their anticipation of attendance, you do have to have a ticket. Right now, you can go to @RobinKendall on Twitter, and you can see the link there. And you can get your ticket, and we will have fun and frivolity together. We will talk about all the people we give nicknames to on this show. We'll talk about the Good Time Fun Gang at the Indiana General Assembly. We'll talk about what needs to be done. We'll talk about the governor's race. And Casey will be there to take photos. And
if I get the date right.
Well, by the way, this was great. So we talked about our friend Jace, who is a longtime listener, was here during the 10 o'clock hour. So the 9 o'clock hour, whatever. He was here during the one of the hours and came all the way from South Carolina and is a huge fan of the show. And again, it's amazing because on one hand, we're told well, nobody listens. And then some guys from South Carolina is like, oh my gosh, I'd love to meet you guys. So you decide who's in the right here. Anyway, when he got done, he sat in the show for a little bit and he had to go to the airport. And then he said, hey, I'd like to get a picture with you guys.
Yeah.
And he asked you, what a gentleman.
Yeah.
A member of the U.S. military. He asked you, said, is it all right if I put my hand on your shoulder?
Yeah. When we were posing for the picture, he said, do you mind if I put my arm around you?
Now
no.
I feel bad for all the places that I've put my hand without permission, like your back, your shoulder. I mean, nothing inappropriate, but I really should have asked.
Maybe. And I did point that out to him. I said, thank you for asking, because many people don't.
Really?
And they'll just do it. And it's fine, but I thought it was nice that he asked. He wanted permission first, which was a preemptive move on his part, I think, because he didn't want this to come back 20 years later.
Absolutely.
With some
That's
sort of...
the world in which we live.
Uh-huh.
But that's because he's a member of the military. He's a good dude. He's a father. He's a husband. And he said, hey, may I put my... He didn't ask me. He just straight up put his hand on my shoulder. What am I... If I am cut, do I not bleed?
Yeah.
I'm a person, too.
He didn't think you'd be offended by it 20 years later. 11:35. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Coming up, Abdul's going to join us, and we're going to talk more about John Rust and how he's trying to get on the ballot. And first, let's talk about what's going on with Stellantis. They announced that they would temporarily lay off an estimated 300 employees in its Kokomo casting and transmission plants. And this is the point of the program where you point out you were right.
Yes, I hate to do this, Casey, and I appreciate even though I was just very rude and insulting for you, claiming that I was going to allow you to flounder in misery on dates going forward and not correct you. You're such a team player that you were willing to say, Rob, would you like to point out how you were right? Yes, absolutely. We told you this would happen, and this is why I have zero sympathy for these UAW people who are on strike, because there is a certain level of vengeance in this strike, and they're using their ability to affect other people's jobs as part of the leverage over getting the auto manufacturer to do what they want. Mm-hmm. And that is not a sympathetic figure. That is not something that I'm going to look at and say that's okay. That's gross and disgusting that your job affects other people's jobs. And so you're going to harm someone who has absolutely nothing to do with you. And this is what's happening in part in Kokomo.
Yeah, Stellantis says they're going to continue to closely monitor the impact of the strike and how it affects their other manufacturing operations. But the UAW president who is originally from Kokomo, said that the union is prepared to escalate the strike to more locations if the companies have not made substantial progress towards a fair agreement.
Imagine if I get in a dispute with our management,
Mm-hmm.
and it has nothing to do with you, and you, Casey, say, hey, I'm fine with the agreement I have with management, and I say, well, I'm just disappointed in the pay I'm getting or the endorsements or whatever, and so...
Don't you dare take me down with you.
Well, this is the point, though, right? It would be the equivalent of me figuring out, going, look, I'm going to leverage. I know the show would go on without me. Would it be as good? Of course not. Would the ratings be as high? Of course not. But there would still be a show with Casey and Kev, or Casey and Kloppenstein, or Casey and whoever.
Or the third next hour of Tony Katz.
There will now be 9 hours of Tony Katz. The point is, you would still have employment. I would not, in my negotiations with my management, go, I'm going to take Casey out in the process too. My beef with management would be my own, and if I choose to sit home, it's my own. But I wouldn't be doing what the malicious intent of, hey, I can screw Casey too, and then hopefully that'll force Casey to have to go to management and go, give Rob whatever he wants. And that's essentially what these guys are doing, and it's already starting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel sympathy for those people, Casey.
Okay. Let's turn our attention to what's
But
on.
I would totally throw Kevin under the
You
bus
would?
for the record. Not you, though. Of
course
Hey, by the way, our visitor was very polite with Kevin, too. Wanted his picture with Kevin.
Did he ask permission to put his hand on your shoulder?
I actually put my hand on his shoulder.
Oh, Gropey McGroperson. I see how it is.
I did not ask permission. Maybe I should have.
You should have. But it was nice that he included you. And he did say, I don't want Kevin to be left out.
Yeah, that's always appreciated.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, on WIBC.com right now, there's a couple side pieces. One, Indianapolis ranks second for the worst city for summer lovers, people who enjoy seeking the sun.
Sorry, my mind went somewhere else. Well, this topic's not nearly as I mean, I should have read the story, I suppose, before I put it on the
That's not what you thought it was about.
Well, no,
What did you think it was about?
I just went with the title, and the title on the thing says, we're rank second worst city for summer lovers, and I thought, well, we were going to have some dime store novel chat here, but apparently not. You mean summer lovers as in like people who love the summer.
Yes, because the season is ending. Now you're not as excited.
No, I don't care at all
huh?
about this. You say whatever you have to say, and let's go on to the next thing.
Okay. The list of cities that aren't good for people who like summer sun. Columbus, number 1. Indianapolis ranked number 2, followed by Louisville, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Portland, Seattle, and then New York City.
Basically all hellholes.
Yeah, well, they based it on miles of beach per every 100,000 residents. So, yeah, Indy would rank pretty high on that. Also, percentage of sunny days per year.
Yeah.
Also, number of parks.
It is kind of hard when it gets dark at 5 o'clock half the year.
And also the average temperature in October. The best place to get all of these wonderful things, Las Vegas, Tucson, Virginia Beach, El Paso, Phoenix, Mesa, San Diego, Sacramento, Long Beach, California, and then Tampa.
Oh, very good.
Okay, the other one on WIBC.com is the big showdown in South Bend on Saturday.
Is that a night game?
It is a night game.
Are you coming over to our house again?
That is this weekend, isn't it?
It is this weekend, which is why you wrote a side piece about it, Casey. Literally on this WIBC, the title is literally WIBC.com. I love working with you, Casey, because you're like, that's this weekend. The title literally says, Saturday Showdown in South Bend.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about the Ohio State Notre Dame game.
Yeah.
Ohio State coming to South Bend.
That's correct.
Hotels already sold out, expected to be one of the most anticipated and exciting matchups of the college football season this year. So big that ESPN's College Game Day is going to be there. You're having no part of it. You'll be watching it from your dad's family room, won't you?
Is it? Well, it depends. What channel is it on?
It's on NBC.
Oh, no.
Like all of the home Notre Dame games have been for years.
Oh, okay. Well, some of them not. Sometimes it's ESPN and all sorts of other weird stuff. So here's the thing, Casey.
Yeah.
My dear friend Shane, who runs the radio station in Brownsburg, the community station there, for Christmas last year, he gave me one of those local digital antennas.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get all the local stations.
Oh,
so
very
I
nice.
only need to be nice to my dad when something's on cable. Like the other night, Monday Night Football, cable, ESPN, had to be nice to him, had to go over. But for something like this, no, I can just be an insufferable hag as a neighbor because I get NBC. Now, the question remains, last year, you and your husband screwed the entire Notre Dame season up because you came to our house, you were watching the game, Notre Dame was winning, and then at halftime, you're like, all right, we're going to go home now.
Gotta go.
And a high school team could have beat Notre Dame in the second half.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they didn't have a 50-year-old quarterback last year like they do
Now,
this
you
year.
think he's very handsome, don't you?
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, I know.
I think him and that Gracie Hunt that you and Hammer are just enthralled with would make a beautiful couple.
Boy, they would
beautiful
just
people.
have. I don't think his wallet is big enough for her, Casey.
Probably
I don't
not.
think 93rd year senior at Notre Dame is making the sort of money that she would require.
So this is going to be the first time that Ohio State visits Notre Dame Stadium since 1996.
Wow. I was in the seventh grade.
Really?
Well, fall of 96 would have been the seventh
So
grade.
it's been a while,
Yeah.
right? Okay. BetMGM has posted their odds for the game, and they have the Buckeyes favored.
But what's the spread? What is it?
3.5 points.
Yeah, so Notre Dame is getting 3.5 points. I'm tempted to see what that line does. I've not checked it today. I'm tempted to go with the Irish on that because that's a field goal. And Ohio State is not that good, and Notre Dame is pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a home field advantage, and that's one of those intangibles that Notre Dame always has.
Yeah.
You know, luck of the Irish, that sort of thing. Now, right now at WIBC.com, if you want to pull down this article on the side piece, there's a little bit of trivia. You can test your Notre Dame football knowledge.
Saturday Showdown. Casey during the segment. Oh, my gosh, that's this weekend.
It is this weekend. I forgot. Well, I wrote the article yesterday, and I kind of forgot that, that is this weekend. Don't ask me, Rob. Clearly, I don't even know what day it is. I do know I'm getting my hair done this afternoon, and that has been the most important thing on my calendar for the past 3 months. Okay?
Good stuff.
All right, Abdul's going to join us next. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the latest on the UAW strike, and the border is the story. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
You probably know how much money you've saved in your IRA or 401k, but do you know how much you'll owe in taxes on this money in retirement? Because that's the most important number you need to know right now. Otherwise, you don't know how much money you have.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Learn how much money you'll owe in taxes with your IRA and 401k. Just go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com. Just input a few numbers and you'll instantly see how much money you'll owe in taxes when you retire. Plus, you'll see how much you could potentially save if you take advantage of simple tax planning strategies now.
It's from our good friend Bill Demery, right here in Indy. Don't give the government a nickel more in taxes than you have to. Go to SaveTaxesWithBill.com. That's SaveTaxesWithBill.com.
It's the simplest, easiest, potentially life-altering website, SaveTaxesWithBill.com.
The reviews are in from McDonald's hotter, juicier burgers. Let's hear what Hamburglar has to say.
Robble, robble.
What our old friend Hamburglar said is, the patties are juicier. The bun is a thing of beauty. The cheese perfectly melted.
Robble.
My burger dreams have come true. You heard him, folks. These are McDonald's best burgers ever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Robble. Available at most restaurants in this area. Comparison of McDonald's classic burgers to prior burgers.
Tony Katz here for 459 Barber Lounge. You want to look your best? You got to go to the best. 459 has highly skilled barbers and stylists with over 100 years of combined experience. They've been serving Indy for over 20 years. They take care of me, and you're going to love your look after a visit to 459 Barber Lounge. They sell beer and wine, and they're open 7 days a week. Newly expanded, newly renovated, across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. That's 459online.com. TonyCat.com. Tell them Tony Cat sent you.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411. 800-593-4411.
Tickets to Trans-Siberian Orchestra's The Ghost of Christmas Eve, The Best of TSO and more at Gamebridge Fieldhouse on December 26th are on sale now. Head to WIBC.com's contest page today and enter to win your way in.
Rock and roll star. Rock and roll star. That's what they call you.
Oh, look who it is. 93 WIBC, the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here, and gosh darn it, what a better way to wrap up our show. I cannot think of one. He's magnanimous. He's beautiful. He's charming. He's an author. He's a broadcaster. He's a provocateur. The one and only Abdul Hakim Shabazz. How are you, my friend?
He's got a jacket on, so he must be lawyering today.
Yeah, okay. So we had you on Tuesday to talk a little bit about this. It was kind of breaking news at the time. Todd Rokita in big trouble with the Disciplinary Commission over his comments about that abortion doctor on Fox News. You have now had time to see Rokita's response, digest, and you actually talked to the Inspector General about is he in trouble about talking about his re-election in his official response. What have you uncovered?
Well, first of all, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you very much did, and you knew you said that out loud.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize, because in What a Worse Mr. Spock, when it comes to Todd Rokita, my emotions sometimes tend to get the better of me.
You are neither fair nor balanced.
Exactly. Not when it comes to Theodore. A couple things. First of all, Todd Rokita's in trouble, not for going after the abortion doctor and all that. He's in trouble for extrajudicial statements that he made in the Fox News interview with Jesse Walters.
So basically what they're saying is you essentially could have tainted the jury pool, not that there's an actual jury, but you are making these statements which could influence the other people making the decisions.
In a nutshell, yeah. Under the rules of professional conduct, and actually we lawyers do have them, and they said, everybody get out of your system, you cannot make statements that are prejudicial to the administration of justice. In a nutshell. In other words, shut up. You can talk about the facts of the case, but you can't say, we believe that Dr. blah, blah, violated the law, violated HIPAA, blah, blah. You can't say she's an abortionist playing doctor.
Yeah, right.
That you can't do. Because those are just beyond the pale.
Is that because that goes into opinion versus facts?
It's just bad.
Okay.
It's like in the U.S. Senate, you're not supposed to
attack and impugn the integrity of another individual. Yeah, good luck with that one too. And so what Theodore did was he made some extrajudicial statements on the Jesse Waters program, and now he's in trouble for it. Mm-hmm. And then his response, which I still had me shaking my head, like, what is this person thinking? He accused the Judicial Commission of wokeism and saying this is trans sanity, and they're trying to cancel me. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Seems really weird. It'd be like looking at the jury if you were in a criminal court and going, you people all suck.
Yes. And basically saying the jurors are stupid, and I'm condescending. That means I talk down to people.
Before they've issued their ruling.
Exactly. So why, and you're already skating on thin ice to begin with, because nobody likes you anyway, because they think you're a total butthole from time to time. And like I said, I'm sorry, folks, my emotions are clouding when it comes to Theodore. And so he's in trouble.
Now the Judicial Commission is going to have hearings and do the whole 9 yards and go from there.
So what could happen to him if indeed he is found that he did the things that he is alleged to have done? What are the possible ramifications for the Attorney General?
It could be a letter of reprimand. It's a range. It could be no discipline whatsoever, to actual disbarment. And then there are things in between. You could lose your law license for a temporary period, like what happened with Curtis Hill when he had his bar-related issues at one night. Or you get a private letter of reprimand. You get a public letter of reprimand. I tend to think that the Judicial Commission is going to take this a lot more. It's going to be more than a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, well, because again, he did, unlike Curtis. Well, Curtis got a month's suspension, but Curtis's was my behavior outside of being a lawyer. Now, again, I guess you're all like, it's like
you never stop being a lawyer.
Yeah, right. But Rokita's is actually in his official government position.
Yes, and Heather Marchand basically said in a hearing that Todd Rokita violated the law of confidentiality and just learned not to shut up.
And I'm so torn on this because what that abortion doctor did, I believe, was awful, and Rokita should have gone after her in the confines of the law, which I think the medical licensing board, to a certain extent, found that. It was kind of a mixed bag ruling. But just do that. I mean, you were pointing out State House happenings. When even your wife, who is the most non-political person in the world, saw that in real time and said, wow, that seems kind of wrong.
She's like, I don't think, can he say that? Like, well, it doesn't matter. Kenny said he did, dear, so we'll see what happens.
And it totally taints what you're doing, and this is the most important part. It taints what you're doing as the Attorney General, which is you should be about getting justice, not about playing politics with something that's serious.
And now Todd's in trouble.
Well, and he can't walk it back. It was broadcast.
It was broadcast, and I knew that when he filed his response to the Judicial Commission complaint, that he knew it was coming, because you don't put together a 36-page response in 2 hours.
Yeah,
they've been working on that for a while, because the rumor had been running around for a few weeks that they were going to bring the hammer down. So he had been preparing he had been preparing for his response.
Abdul's with us, couple minutes left here. So we had John Rust on the program earlier today, and he is filing that lawsuit to try to get on the ballot to run for U.S. Senate. Of course, it hinges on the fact that he's not the law that says you got to vote in the 2 consecutive Republican primaries. He hasn't done it. I don't even know if I like the guy's politics or not. I don't even care. I'm Team Rust, because if you're going to steal my money as a taxpayer, I don't think the private club should get to have this super guarded society where they pick who runs. Either don't take my money and pick whoever, or take my money and then open it up so that people can actually run for public office.
Well, I would have said it that way, but fundamentally, I actually agree with you.
Oh boy,
because
that's terrible.
Because I've always been a firm believer that if the taxpayers are going to foot the bill, then it should be an open primary system.
Yeah.
Republicans, Democrats, everybody runs in a primary. The top 2 vote getters, they go on to the general election.
Can he continue to campaign?
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants, even though he's not on the ballot yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you got a campaign guy, you throw money out there like it's going out of style.
Yeah,
now,
but I do think he has a point in the sense that, there's sort of 2 Republican primary, 2 Democratic primary requirement. To me, is ridiculous, and it violates the state constitution, because you're having taxpayers fund a political activity. It's like taxpayers footing the bill for the conventions that the Republicans and Democrats do every June, July, every couple of years. You wouldn't want taxpayers footing that bill, so why would you want the taxpayers footing the bill for a purely political process?
Yeah, absolutely. And this idea, you always hear the Republicans go, we're a big tent, we want new people coming in. Well, I mean, so like if 6 months ago you said, you know what, I've had enough of this, and I'm not only going to be involved, I'm going to run. Well, too bad, Charlie, because 4 years ago you didn't pull a Republican, primary ballot. You're out. I mean, that is just complete hypocrisy from these people.
And like I said, and understand having guardrails, because you don't want your ballots to look like a CVS pharmacy receipt. However, the question is, how big should those guardrails be?
Yeah. All right. Before we go, Jack Sandlin obviously passed away. We talked with Jim Merritt earlier in the show about this. Your thoughts, State Senator Jack Sandlin. I know you interviewed him many times in the 8 years, and then he was obviously part of the county council here in Indianapolis. Before that, I'll let you close with maybe a memory or two about him.
Good guy, public servant, good public servant, big supporter of law enforcement. Also, I want to say he worked with Cherish Pryor, state representative. She's a Democrat, he's a Republican, on gentrification-related issues, so senior citizens could stay in their own homes. even though the assessed values of the property had gone through the roof. And so he always said what was good for Indiana and Indianapolis.
Are you doing any actual work this weekend, or are you just skating by as usual?
Doing actual work this weekend. Also, we begin our city polling this weekend as well.
What's coming up on the show?
We'll have the poll results late next week, and we'll start releasing them the week before early voting starts.
But what are you doing this Saturday? Do you have a radio show?
Yes, I have a radio show.
Who's on the radio show? This should not be this hard.
We're talking to Andy Downs of the Bike Down Center. Also talking to Suzanne Crouch in her Axe Tax proposal, and also a conversation with Jefferson Schroeder.
There we go. The one and only
big show.
Abdul Shabazz. You can hear him Saturdays 1 to 3 here on WIBC. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
And that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening. We're going to count on you to be back here tomorrow. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Are you tired of paying these insane rates on your credit cards and other loans? You can cut those payments by hundreds of dollars a month by using the equity in your home. What's up? It's Hammer here from the Hammer and Nigel Show. Loan Pronto is here, and they can help you tap that equity and get tens of thousands of dollars in less than a week. Their Equity Express line of credit can get you enough money to pay off all those ridiculous high-interest credit cards or maybe that car loan. You won't lose your 3% mortgage rate. It stays intact. You can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying ridiculous interest rates on those credit cards and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto today. 317-953-6525. 953-6525. 953-6525. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval.
Ugh, I don't have time for a cold.
Honey.
Honey?
You need DayQuil Severe Honey flavor.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honey-licious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honey-licious. Power through your day.